I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Stuart City Commission on June 22nd, 2026 at 5:30 PM to order. Mary, if we could do the roll call.
Mayor Reed,
Here.
Commissioner Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Giobi,
Here.
Commissioner Rich.
Here.
And then followed by the invocation from Pastor James Harp from Stuart Alliance Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, I thank you this day, Lord, we recognized Father's Day yesterday. Many of us were celebrated, and we celebrated our fathers. But Lord, today we recognize you as our Heavenly Father. And I thank you for that, God. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to come into your presence here today and to pray and to look to you, God, for guidance and direction and wisdom for these folks that are leading us in our city. The Apostle Paul writes in 1 Timothy chapter 2, he says, "First of all, then, I urge that supplications, prayers, and intercession and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Father." Lord, that teaches me that we are to continually pray and intercede and bring supplications for those who are in leadership over us in our city, our county, our state, our nation. Lord, we thank you for these that you have raised up, Lord, to be leaders for us. But God, I pray for them today as I always pray. I pray for protection and wisdom and guidance. I pray for their families. I ask, God, that you'd surround them with your blessing. Lord, that your blessing would be upon the city of Stuart. Lord, we thank you for the privilege of being here, being a part of this community. And Lord, we just pray that you continue to guide and direct, that all would go well for us, Lord. Give wisdom for decisions that are made. Give wisdom to the voices that express their concerns and thoughts tonight. God, may you be glorified in all of us. I pray tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments by city commissioners. Commissioner Rich?
My comment is only that I look forward to seeing you all at one of Stuart's favorite activities, the 4th of July of Parade. Please come out.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich. Commissioner Giobi?
Yes. First, I want to thank everyone, as I always do, for attending this commission meeting, as well as a shout out to those who attend online. Your participation is so important and much appreciated. Right now, I want to address an incident that occurred at our last meeting. A commissioner admonished a city employee, and actually the entire department, at a public meeting, which is not acceptable. Please note that all of the commissioners have the agenda and the backup for a week prior to that June 8th meeting. At any point prior to the meeting, this commissioner could have contacted the city manager and the department head to discuss any of the issues and review the information. This is not the first time that this commissioner decided to dress down a city employee at a public meeting. Not only is it unacceptable, it was inappropriate and unprofessional. Please note that the commissioners have no jurisdiction over city employees. City employees report to the city manager. If a commissioner has an issue with a city employee or a department, there is a process to follow. They are to reach out privately to the city manager and address the issue. It was also disrespectful to the position of the city manager. Apologies are due, and I would hope that this commissioner in question will address this accordingly. On an upbeat note, as Commissioner Rich said, 4th of July coming up, and please, everyone, I want to say the citizens of Stuart have always had a huge turnout for the 4th of July golf cart parade. Plus, everyone should take advantage of the festivities for the entire family at Flagler Park. And I would hope that this year is no different as we celebrate and thank our veterans for their service to our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Giobi. Commissioner Clark?
Thank you. As we regard our country and we look towards freedom
freedom is not just on the 4th of July, but during this month, we've also celebrated Emancipation Day in Florida was in May, and then Juneteenth, which is the day when those who were enslaved in Texas, the last people to hear that there was freedom, and that truly is the beginning of what celebration of freedom is, and it goes on into the July 4th season, and I think that we should all make every effort to participate in our community activities and to participate in anything and everything that's there. For the Juneteenth in the city of Stuart, the African-American citizens of East Stuart, led by Miss Dooley, had a very inspiring program at the Boys and Girls Club. The mayor was there and read the proclamation for that particular event. And it was really, truly inspiring to see the young people and the activities that they did. And their performances were they're better than people who are going for some title, whether it's Miss Universe or the best of a student who's trying to get into the Metropolitan Opera or something. They were just absolutely astounding young people who performed there. And so there's a chance for the young people, not just those at the Boys and Girls Club, but from other parts of the community and from the county, to really show that they are shining stars and that they're coming up. And it was just amazing, and I'm glad for the support that the city of Stuart put into ensuring that we do have that type of celebration for Juneteenth in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. I wanted to get a consensus from the board for two D&D items for discussion, and one of them being the boat show with a long-term lease, and the other one was to still push for emails to be online for transparency for our constituents.
I'm for both of those.
All right,
Consensus here.
Commissioner Rich?
Is that for today or for another day?
It would be for another day. We're getting a consensus now for the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Good there, Mike? All right. And I did want to read an email that I received verbatim. There was not so nice language in it, but I won't read it word for word just because the children that are here tonight. This email I received on June 11th, 2026. It says, "Dear Commissioners, we are 100% against backyard chickens in the city of Stuart. We may not increase residential density, but will certainly increase the density of rats, possums, raccoons, snakes, mites, and flies. Nice. By the way, a few joint meetings ago, all local governments plus the school, we had to sit for an hour listening to how dog poop not picked up contaminated the lagoon. Every commissioner runs on cleaning up the river, and then they would go and allow this. It's bad for property values. They will be running around loose the streets of Stuart before you know it." My response back was, "Thanks for your feedback. I know Merritt had no issues with the chickens and didn't claim the chickens would contaminate our waterways." The response I received back, "Sean, I sent this email to you, not someone who is running. How dare you insinuate that you know how somebody else would vote on this matter? You're doing a horrible job as a city commissioner. I can tell you for a fact that I showed a house to a potential buyer and we could hear the chickens next door. So my buyer passed on the house. I see now that exact house is back on the market. I would never be so bold as to say it's because the new owner didn't like being beside a nasty house of chickens, but I can guess it wasn't ideal. That said, you're lacking code enforcement, and the Martin County Animal Control won't help control this issue when the chickens are roaming the streets of Stuart. You have nothing to gain by approving this. This just burdens the city even more. I have included a video that Chris Collins sent me. He knows that chickens are roaming the streets already and did nothing about it. If we're going to start talking about people who have nothing to do with the vote, please be professional and know this is already an issue and you're only going to make it worse. And I would like to thank you again for aggravating me. You have only motivated me to work against you in your next election. Chris Collins put this on the agenda before he left, and you're looking like his little bee by voting for this. Good luck with that. If you think he would fall on a sword for you, I believe you're sorely mistaken. My response back. I did not suggest or imply how anyone would vote on this matter, so I'm not sure where that conclusion came from. If you review my previous email, I stated, and I quote, "Thanks for your feedback. I know Merritt had no issues with the chickens and did not claim they would contaminate our waterways. I spoke with Merritt after the meeting on June 8th, 2026, and that was his response. The vote ultimately passed 3-1 with Commissioner Rich dissenting. Do you have the address for the listing and the buyer's contact information? If so, I would encourage them to reach out as well and provide their feedback. I have remained professional in my communications, whether by email or in person. Given that, I found your characterization of me as someone's little b inappropriate and unprofessional. That is not language I use in a professional setting. I am sorry that my response to your initial email upset you. I appreciate your feedback and hope the rest of your day goes well." Comments by city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to bring up something that has been talked about quite a bit. In 2023, House Bill 657 signed into law about the use of school zone camera, a school zone safety program. And I know that this commission and the public has heard about this program because it was talked about last year in 2025. Most recently, staff and I and Commissioner Rich, we were briefed on this program by one of the proprietors working in the state of Florida. And I would once again like to take this opportunity to bring someone in front of the public and in front of the commission to talk about this, because it is traffic calming, it is school zone enforcement, a safety issue, and it is completely within the law in the state of Florida to use technology to help us with this problem. So I will be in a future meeting scheduling a briefing for us to look at these statistics, because they are remarkable statistics with this program, and something that perhaps we would like to look into as a community. So I'll be bringing that at a further commission meeting, probably within a couple months. And on a great note, what's good? What's good is our utilities and engineering department having a couple fantastic certification exam graduates, one being Mike Marshall. Congratulations on Mike Marshall for passing the Florida Class B wastewater treatment plant operating certificate exam. A significant achievement, and it just shows the professionalism every day that is displayed. It's just one example, folks, of what goes on here each and every day. We have folks working really hard and achieving such certifications. So Mike Marshall, a shout out to Mike for passing that exam. And then as well, congratulations on the Class A water treatment plant operator examination to Stephen Bulletin. And again, a professional milestone, number one, for this employee, but adds so much value to what we're doing each and every day. And I commend our Director of Engineering and for allowing this to happen, for fostering this growth, and basically growing the next generation of leaders. And so we're shout out to both of these individuals, and more to come. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark, you had a comment?
Yes, I wanted to ask the city manager and the commission, if you do bring that school zone safety camera type deal, maybe we should just do it as a presentation to us at a meeting so that we can see what they're, where they're thinking, where these things would go. And maybe they're in certain zones and locations, or would they be along the major highways, or I'm not sure how that works. And if it ends up in ticketing or just a warning or what.
Yes, Commissioner, I will, what I propose is that I would bring the same presentation that we received just a few weeks ago to the commission, to the public at one of these meetings where you will get to see for yourself how the program has been implemented in other localities and the results of that program, because it's a bit sophisticated at this point. It's been in place for a couple of years, and of course, this is just one of several vendors that we would bring in, and they realize, by the way, that we would have to go through a procurement process and other things, by the way. Before we implemented the program, there are things that we would have to do to scope the project, and then they know, this group that I plan on bringing in, they know that they would have to compete with other vendors via a procurement process. So that's exactly what you described is exactly what I'd like to do, is bring them into a meeting where they can, 15, 20-minute presentation for you to see.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rich, you had a comment?
Yeah, it was interesting, the events that occurred, because I had been speaking to some people over on, behind J.D. Parker, on Southeast West St. Joseph's Avenue, and a number of them complained about the fact that for many years that back gate, Commissioner Clark, you may know, was closed, and it's now opened, and so they can drop off and pick up their children. And so these people indicated what was going on, so I went out there the next morning, and I was, oh my God, people really were moving way too fast down that street. And then this email, just a couple days later, popped up with regard to this system, which is, I think, markedly better than the one we heard about. It was about a year ago, I think. So I think you'll find it of great interest. And the numbers, the effectiveness is really remarkable, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich. Commissioner Clark?
Yeah, I forgot to say this in my comments. I was just out driving to a program at the Boys and Girls Club the other evening, and it had rain, but it wasn't a big rain at the time. It wasn't a big rain like we have for a sustained period of time. It had rained and then stopped, and I'm sure it rained while I was inside the building. But I was on Balboa. I did both 5th Street and Stipman. I happened to drive around the area, actually. And we had done a drainage, and I probably should have asked during the CRA meeting. I thought we had approved some drainage work for in there through the CRA, and I wasn't sure how that was going, but the entire area seemed a little bit flooded to me, and it wasn't a big rain at the time. So I was wondering if the work was actually done and what was happening in that area. But staff can just listen to this and get back with me on it, but I did notice it.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. All right, moving on. Can I get an approval for the agenda?
Move approval of the agenda as published.
I'll second.
We have a motion for the approval of the agenda by Commissioner Clark and seconded by Commissioner Giobbe. Are there any public comments regarding this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Comments from the public on non-agenda items. Remember, it's limited to 3 minutes.
I have Derek Ogden.
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Derek Ogden. I am a resident of Stuart, and I'm here about the ball fields and why a simple question, should us Stuart residents get to vote on their future, keeps getting delayed. In May, this commission had the choice in front of them. Mayor Reed pushed to send it to the voters, and Commissioner Giobbe backed him up on that. Mayor Reed warned that letting this fail was, quote, a disservice to the constituents that he represents, and I agree. Commissioner Giobbe did her best, and they spent the night trying to find a third vote, a third supporter, and they were right to try. But the two commissioners running for re-election would not even support this motion. The Group 1 commissioner called the idea reckless and a source of great concern. The commissioner from Group 5 called it premature and said she would not move on it. And then said the quiet part out loud, that she's, quote, hoping our commission is going to change in August. She also says that she favors preserving these fields. With respect, you cannot claim you want to protect the parks while refusing to let the people who own them vote to protect them. Those two things don't go together. So watch for the reasons for the delay, because they don't hold water. We were told at the NAACP meeting that a FRDAP, F-R-D-A-P, grant will protect these fields. The problem is we don't have that grant, and it's competitive. We would have to win the grant. And a FRDAP is a covenant run by a state agency in Tallahassee. The state can modify it. They can also swap out the park for a comparable property. So it doesn't actually protect the Sailfish Ballpark. That's not the same as Stuart residents holding this decision in a vote. And listen to how carefully the promises are worded. One candidate running for Group 3 said at the NAACP meeting that he'd never sell these parks, which is believable. But pay attention to what word he avoided using. He did not say that he would never develop the parks. The out is a lease, and this isn't an imaginary thing. The Azul apartments in downtown sit on city land that was handed to a developer on a 99-year lease. That land was never sold, but it's gone for a century. A 99-year lease would take these fields the same way, and no one ever has to use the word sell. The amendment that the two commissioners blocked would close all of these doors and give the power to the residents of Stuart. But the developers and the ruling class who back these commissioners cannot have that. And another correction from the NAACP statement, no one single-handedly saved these fields in 2019. A full 5-member commission voted no to selling them at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janine Alexander.
By show of hands, I would like to see who has received the meeting notes that I passed out this evening. By show of hands, may I see the members of the panel that received my email today? Thank you for acknowledging. I've decided to take a different course of action this evening than I originally came in here with. To avoid public humiliation of any of these city commissioners that failed to acknowledge receipt of my email. The seriousness of my accusations stem back to a domestic event that occurred in 2015, whereby I was battered, falsely imprisoned. I was videotaped unknowingly. My domestic partner lied to law enforcement to cover his own indiscretions. The police officer that came onto the scene was inexperienced and unqualified to do what he was doing that evening. Because of that, our new chief of police has enacted new policy 27 on evidence collection. I applaud his efforts, but that attention to that policy has been lacked since 2017 when David Diaz knew that officers were unauthorized to alter, delete, or change any content of evidence that was entered into city possession. And that's exactly what was done in order to charge me with a crime that I still bear the title of felon to. The reason I have pursued this is not only out of personal dignity and respect for myself, but for my family. The Alexander name, my father passed on to me, a 30-year veteran of the U.S. Army, went down with me. That should never happen on American territory, especially when a law enforcement officer fails to do his duty. I have determined to be in the best interest of all parties concerned, including former city manager Michael Mertel, current manager and mayor, to turn this public comment into a proposal for private settlement. Under 768.28, you have received a notice of claim by and through Lee Baguette as early as 2023. And as of tonight, you have received an amended notice of claim, 2026. I am in the process of retaining counsel to represent me. You have an opportunity to remediate and resolve this matter before I file a civil complaint under 768.28 that could result in a request for uncapped damages. If you're not familiar with this law, you might want to familiarize yourself. It's a serious matter when a city commission, it results in inadequate
Thank you.
oversight.
Thank you, Janine.
Karen Yost Rudge.
Good evening. Thank you for your service. It's always sad. I mean, what you did to that girl is worse than what you did to my family. God bless America. Thank you for your service. I mean, that always gets me. I just wanted to remind you guys, I've already told you, you have lying, defrauding lawyers. Carrie Leninger, you had her in our case in the federal court, and I've showed you evidence how she defrauded the court, and then I guess she got an approval from you to take over the state case as well. So it boggles my mind. It's almost like in Martin County, the city of Stuart, if you do something bad, you get a promotion. Like Mr. Mortel, now he's a trial court administrator. I don't know how it works. I know how the people want it to work. We want to trust you. We want to have faith in you to do the right thing. And sometimes good people do bad things. So I just want to remind you that, yes, you have no oversight in your attorney office, not Mr. Baggett. I'm talking about previously in our case for 16 years, Mortel, and now this Carrie Leninger from Williams, Leninger, and Cosby. Why you don't care? You represent us, and now you have lawyers lying and defrauding the court. Why this doesn't bother you, I do not understand. But it harms we, the residents, we, the people. So I just want to encourage you, find out why are you guys doing this? I guess you can't talk to each other outside of here, but can you have a meeting and say, why do we have lying attorneys that defraud the court? You guys started litigation against us, and then you just lie the whole way. I don't understand it. It's not right, and it's not what we're paying for. And we're paying for this. And Group 5 knows all about it. She's been complicit in it the whole time. Maybe the rest of you are just confirmation bias. But Group 5 has been it the whole time. And then we got Mayor Matheson sending a thing to the mayor when he was mayor and saying that they were going to get our property from Martin County forever. Merritt Matheson and his Martin County forever. And why is he trying to glom our property when it's in litigation? And he knows it is. So that's all I have to say. We love you guys. We appreciate what you do, but dang, just do the right thing. It's never too late to do the right thing. Got me, Group 5? Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
I have no additional comments, Mayor.
Seeing no further public comment.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me.
Yes, Commissioner Rich.
In future public comments, could you remind people that they cannot refer to individual commissioners specifically? They may address their comments to you, but not to or about individual commissioners.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for your feedback, Commissioner Rich. I did speak with legal prior to this meeting, and he said it was up to the chair. Personally, I don't have any problems with the public addressing us individually, whether it's positive or negative, but thank you for your feedback. Can I get an approval of the consent calendar?
Move approval of the consent calendar as published.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Clark for approval of the consent calendar and seconded by Commissioner Rich. Is there any public comment on this motion? Seeing none, Mary, roll call.
Commissioner Rich?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to commission action, Project Lift lease agreement, resolution number 43, 2026.
Resolution number 43-2026, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, approving and authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the City of Stuart and Project Lift, Inc. for the operation of the facility known as Project Lift, located at 710 Southeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Stuart, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute the lease agreement, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Panal Gandhi Savdas, CRA Director. I'm going to introduce this item. This item is a resolution approving a lease agreement between the City of Stuart and Project Lift for the operation and management of Project Lift facility located at 710 Southeast Martin Luther King Boulevard. As you know, the city received CDBG COVID grant funding to acquire, demolish, and construct the facility, the training facility. That project is substantially completed. We expect to have it completed by end of August. So we wanted to bring forward a lease agreement that will allow Project Lift to operate the facility and provide workforce development, trade programs, entrepreneurship, and business development, which is consistent with the purpose of the grant. The lease establishes the operational responsibilities for Project Lift, including programming, maintenance, reporting requirements, and compliance with applicable grant requirements. Lee will go over the additional details that's in the lease and also our previously approved memorandum of understanding.
I'm just going to hit some highlights because obviously it's over 20 pages, so I'm not going to go through it line by line. But the terms of the lease are, the first term is going to be 20 years as proposed in this lease agreement. During that 20 years, they have an annual rent of only $1. And the question is, why is it $1? Remember, this is grant money that we received to purchase the property and demo what was on the property and to develop and build the building that's currently there or being constructed now. So in essence, the city had gotten a significant amount of grant money to pay for this new property and the improvements to it. Project Lift is a nonprofit, so as a result of getting this grant money, we were required to do something as far as consistent with the grant, such as a job training facility. So what we have in this lease agreement is a proposal of the first term is 20 years. The only way we can break the term is for, during that first 20 years, is for, cause or some type of default on either party. After the 20-year initial term, there will be 10-year renewals, 3, so a total of 50 years. And after the first 20 years, when the first renewal is up, either party may decide not to renew the next renewal term as long as you give 18 months notice. So 18 months prior to the 20 years of the initial term being up, the city could decide for any reason or no reason at all not to renew the lease. And if they decide to renew it, it'll be for another 10 years, and they'll have 2 further options down the road. The other thing is the use and occupancy of the facility. We have a defined intended purpose. The intended purpose of the facility is to provide vocational training, workforce, and professional development programming and business incubation to support entrepreneurship and startup businesses in underrepresented neighborhoods in the city. During the first 5 years under the grant, so the grant is going to be attached to the lease as an exhibit, but under the first 5 years under our grant, we're responsible for doing reporting to the state showing progress that we've done. And one of the biggest things is we got to show that we created 50 new jobs. So that's required during the first 5 years. After the 5 years is up and the reporting is up, those restrictions can be lifted and there's no need to further report to the state. And then furthermore, under the terms of the lease, Project Lift will be required to pay all insurance and pay all property taxes. And I think there's a lot of other terms They're agreeing to indemnify us, obviously, if they're sued for anything that goes on, and if they decide to sue the city because the city owns the property, they will agree to indemnify us and defend us in any such a case with the insurance. And I just want to point out, one of the reasons to have the first term being 20 years, we went back and forth with Project Lift, and Mr. Zacchio is here, and he can further address this if you have questions. But they have intellectual property rights with Project Lift. They do build they have other buildings, I think one in Hobe Sound and one in Fort Pierce that's similar. They're going to sink in a significant amount of improvements and costs from Project Lift, such as all the equipment inside. They've also paid for the architectural design, which was a few $100,000 that the city didn't have to incur. So in order to recoup those costs, 20 years was a number of years that they felt comfortable with, that they would be able to have this facility and recoup those costs that they are putting up front in regards to putting on this program and maintaining the building for the 20 years. That's pretty much the highlights. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And also, if you had any questions, Mr. Zacchio, I saw him earlier. He's here and present as a representative of Project Lift.
All right. Commissioner Rich?
Mr. Baggett, did you misspeak? You indicated he was responsible for property tax?
Yeah, well, if there are any property taxes,
Okay.
So there's a difference.
Sometimes there's special assessments that we end up having to pay.
Right.
Okay,
So
but
I learned this because I used to work at the county, and I worked at PSL in here. So a county, they're immune from taxation, their properties, but when the city owns it, they have to fall under an exemption. And
Right.
so they would have to fall under an exemption. And no guarantee there's an exemption, but I assume he'll be able to get the
yeah, but just to
exemption.
be clear, this will remain city-owned property.
Correct.
Right.
Correct, but it'll be, and it's being used by a nonprofit, but there are some areas out there, if a city uses it for non-municipal purposes, it could be property, it could be taxed. So you still have to meet the exemption. And there's various exemptions.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Clark?
Hi.
Hi.
Mr. Zacchio, I'm sorry I didn't get to send you these questions, and it's for staff as well. So in your vocational training, I understand that, and I know we've been through this already, but we're at our final and updated now. We had the original contract with you. The workforce and professional development, I understand that. Business incubation has been a concern for residents, especially those residents that live directly close to the development. So I want you to explain about business incubation, and even if you have, whether it's your Hope Sound piece, or if you have a piece whether in Belglade or Fort Pierce that has done some type of business incubation, if you could tell us how that's going to roll out come September, October, November of this year when you start with that program, what it will look like for the residents. I have several questions, and I probably will just let him go with that. But in addition to that, since we're talking about
Can
Bit-
we address one at a time?
okay, all right,
maybe?
because it's going to be with jobs. So let me just go on. Just you can do that about the business incubation and the other programs that you're going to be doing. And I know that you probably did a visual for us before. Maybe you're going to come in with a visual another time showing how you break up the types of programs that you do, whether it's automotive and different things. But just tell us about business incubation, because people are concerned about that. They want to know.
Well, first of all, I always want to make sure that I'm, really thankful for how far this has come, and the two going on 3 years, actually over 2 years now, I've been working on this project, from the city staff to the city commission, and everybody coming to see how we do it and what we do it. And I know I've been more than open to take the community on tours, to open the facility so people can walk around it, see our facility that we're running in Hope Sound, and give answer just about any question I can possibly answer. You're specifically are asking about business incubation. And so what we always want to remember is that Project Lift is a mental health and substance abuse program. We use vocational training as the way into a kid's life, and that then leads to job readiness, employability, which we do at a very high level. I've been working with the community leaders at this point to sit down and say, hey, tell me what it is exactly that you need. And I'll tell you what, I think it's for everybody in this room is that they should sit down with community leaders and listen to what the community is saying and how they're saying it. And I can tell you, I heard a number that was so concerning to me that it really moved me almost to tears in a meeting I was in about maybe a week and a half ago with Cody Johnson and his organization. I got to tell you, they said that there's only 2 existing businesses in East Stewart. Did you know that?
Yes.
Did you know that? There was 80, sorry, I was going to say 72, but there was 80 businesses in our community that no longer exist. And to me, that's hearing the community and saying, hey, what is it that we can do to help out in that particular area? From that point, we developed a subcommittee inside of one of the organizations and one of the associations that actually only deals with Project Lift and making sure that we're doing the things that we need to be doing. Part of that subcommittee for Project Lift actually addresses the business incubation components of it. And I told you before when we came up to this podium, actually year after year after year, I can't tell you how many approvals we ended up having on this, is that we would be very much 100% committed to making sure that business incubation was a priority, and we would raise up the community leaders to be able to do that and bring them in to do that, and we incur the expense that's related to it. That also means that the facility is available for business incubation per the CDBG grant guidelines. I am 100% committed to making sure that is done, and when we get people that come to Project Lift or will fill out an application on our website that's directly linked to business incubation, we'll work through it and be able to establish that program at that point.
So they'll have like cubicles and a place for somebody who wants to try to set up and get their information together. That's the kind
Commissioner
of.
Clark, we just spent, just today, I just signed the authorization of the approval for $60,000 worth of furniture to go into that building for cubicle space and furniture that is not charged to the city, right? That's all stuff that that we're raising the money to be able to do those things, to be able to deal with the CDBG grant. Yes.
Okay, for compliance purposes, with regard to staff and how we count, and yourself, how we count job creation. This is job creation strictly from Project Lift. That would show that this is the amount of jobs that you actually create. You're not comparing with the number of jobs that were available in that geographic area before. You're just saying, if we have this course and over a 6-month or 1-year period or whatever within the 5 years, we have created 50 new jobs, absolutely. And this is the number that we're going to report so that we have compliance. And that would show that either those jobs were either created or retained, at least 51% of them. So that 51, half of them, a little bit over half of them, would benefit low and moderate income persons. And that would be low and moderate income persons in Stuart, Pinal, in Martin County, or just in the immediate area where the project is located within the CRA area. Where is that count for low and moderate income persons?
We don't have any restrictions as far as where these students come from. We just have to demonstrate that.
It goes to moderate and low income.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's.
51% has to
I
be
just want to
from
make sure so that when we come to compliance, that we're all on that understanding. Okay, next.
Commissioner Clark, I want to reiterate too, we're discussing a 23-page lease agreement. I just want to make sure
I know.
if there's something in the lease maybe that we don't necessarily like or want to change, that's what we're discussing as well.
Well, that's it, that's section 5 of the lease.
I understand.
Okay, use and
Maybe more
occupancy.
specific questions.
Well, that's it. How are they gonna count that? Okay, when it comes to subleases or joint partnership with persons who are doing community outreach. It says in section 5 of the lease, the lessee may also use the premises for customary, incidental, and reasonable related purposes necessary to implement the lessee's services and to fulfill its mission and vision, including training, mentoring, counseling, community outreach, fundraising events, and partner program. Since you're going to be evaluated and you're going to have to meet compliance, I want to make sure that when you do anything that has to meet the sub-grant requirements and you're working with community partners, let's say the NAACP or another nonprofit organization, that is very clear that is what you're doing. And when that happens, that people don't say you're working with this group or working with another group, that it's very clear that that's allowed under the guidelines. Is that correct, Ms. Gandhi Savdas?
Yes, he could sublease or partner with other organizations within the community to allow them to use the space.
Okay.
That's indicated in the lease.
Okay, I didn't want to make sure that the goalpost doesn't get moved when it talks about subleasing to other people who are, it says shared use may be allowed to mission-aligned partners, volunteers, or collaborators. Is that the section you're referring to? Thank you very much. And then it also says
Sorry,
that
could you specify what section that is? 'Cause-
section 11.1.
Right, okay, yeah.
Section 11 is assignment and sublet.
Right, you said 5, but I thought it
Oh,
was
well, section
11.
5 was the other thing about
Right.
use and occupancy. The mayor wanted me to go down my questions real quick, although I don't think there's anything quick about doing. This is going to be transformative for our community, and it's important that people understand when we sign this that we know what we're getting, and because they're going to be judged within a year and then within 5 years as to how they're progressing on this long-term lease. Same place in section 11.1. It says that anything to do with sublet or assignment, they have to obtain written consent of the city manager, which is in the city manager's sole discretion, but it would not be unreasonably withheld or conditioned or delayed. So again, that's a part of, once we as a commission approve this, the city manager is going to be able to work with him on approving things as they come along. Is that correct, Ms. Candace Savdas?
Correct.
Thank you. And then, again, in section 11.3, which is critical, any subleases of all or any of the premises shall include the following provision regarding assignment and sublease. This agreement shall not be subject to assignment or sublet or have a full partnership with us. And when somebody signs with you, they're effectively signing onto that partnership, and you're going to make sure that they're held to the same standards as you have. So that's important. Those are the two key things I had in the agreement. So that was section 5 about the purpose and making sure that the community and everybody understands. I think most of the other things in the guidelines, I must say, Mr. Baggett, all of those standard guidelines were put in, and they're all important for this type of a long-term agreement. And I look forward to seeing this project come through and make some transformative changes for the benefit of our Stuart and, of course, our Martin County area, because it's going to be something that people from all over the county will be able to participate, not just those in Stuart or those in the CRA or those in the East Stuart CRA. It's open to everyone. And you said that have you had people from the immediate East Stuart area go to visit your places in your Hope Sound facility?
Yes, ma'am. We've had visits down to Hope Sound. I've opened the tour gates on the construction site as well, and taken tours through for community members of East Stuart.
And I hope that if you do get this vote on this, I hope that when you have your opening, that you'll have some of your alumni or graduates come out and let's see how they're doing and say a few words.
Oh, of course. of course. I think, I think everybody, at least my entire staff, all the new staff that we're bringing on board as well. I think you saw that we were doing an event out there right on the corner of Lake and MLK, and just having, I'm sorry, Tarpon and MLK to have a hiring event where we got 7 applications. We've started interviews this past couple of weeks. We are actually making an offer to a potential staff member for site director who's a member of our community that was referred. So we're really excited about it. I'm
Wonderful.
holding up the end of the bargain as it relates to hiring and targeting the teens and young adults that are going to be going through there, business incubation, the whole 9 yards. I'm very excited about it. Mrs. Clark, Commissioner Clark, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm finished for right now. Mayor, thank you for indulging me.
You're welcome. Thanks, Bob. So did you have any concerns in the lease itself?
No, those are the only
Okay.
paragraphs I had questions on.
Okay. Commissioner Rich, did you still have any comments? Your light was on, and then I noticed it just got turned off.
No, it's, well, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
She actually hit the 2 elements of the lease that I was concerned about. I was just wondering if Commissioner Clark, those were appropriate comments regarding Section 11. Was that in response to the small controversy we had 6 months ago with the Flagler place and them subleasing that facility?
That's a good one. No, but I was just concerned because I know that there was a talk about subleasing, or at least an agency that's a community agency. I think the NAACP was interested in working with them and doing some things, and probably it's a one hand wash the other. They're working with them, but they're also working to ensure that hopefully they will meet their some of their requirements to continuously reach out to the community. And so that was one of my things, so that when people start using the facility or when there's a sublease, that there's not a lot of issues, that everybody knows what some of the expectations are and how that relationship could develop with other community organizations, other nonprofits, and that it's allowed, even if they're not listed in the MOU, this is the intent.
Mr. Zacchio, could I just ask you, do you see that as an opportunity to affiliate with groups that may help in your effort?
Oh, absolutely. I think that this was part of the recommendation that Penal and I were putting in early on, was how do we make sure that we're partnering with the community in a much more meaningful and aggressive way. That's why I'm sitting down with people almost every single week, sometimes twice a week, to hear what the needs are. I mean, Commissioner Clark and Commissioner Rich, I think it's unheard of that a lease like this would actually have some intention that's related to subcommittees in the community that have voice related to what happens at Project Lift. I think that it doesn't get any more connected than that. You have turnover in your subcommittees, and it's got a lot of structure to it. I think it's the strongest move I've seen. I've never seen any organization do that before. I think it's absolutely the smartest thing to do.
And
Yeah.
Ms. Gandhi-Safas, if I could just ask you, and just for the benefit of the community, we received a CDBG grant in the amount of, for this project?
10.2 million.
10.2 million. And this was administered by which organization, which company for us?
Oh, Guardian.
And Guardian? And
They're
we were
administering.
very happy with, all of us are very happy with the result.
Yes, and we actually had a call with Florida Commerce, and they were very happy with how we are progressing with the project and providing documents.
And,
that the
and,
same-
and, and Mr. Zacchio, did you find Guardian easy to work with?
I've been involved sometimes two times a week for the past 9 months with this project, 10 months with this project. And Guardian is holding everybody accountable, and I think it worked out really well with them. Very clear, very good communicators.
Good, thank you.
I'll get you in one sec, Commissioner Clark. My questions were for Lee, specifically to section 11.1. I know we ran into this prior. The only thing I don't really like, I guess, is it gives the written consent of the city manager regarding a sublease. Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, so under the grant, any sublessee would have to be somewhat aligned with, you can't put a convenience store that's for profit in the corner. I mean, so so we got to make sure and have a check and balance where
Yeah.
the city manager will be able to put,
The sublessee, I would like to see it on the consent calendar or something from the city manager, just for full transparency. It's taxpayer money. They should know who's it's going to be subleased to. Because we ran into this with Stuart Main Street where they subleased it out and the city manager, prior to Mike being here, we were not aware of subleases that were there unless someone goes and does public record request and they so happen to find this written consent. I don't think we should have to do that. I'd rather see it in a consent calendar or something like that, consent item. That's my opinion. Also, I know what was stated prior. I did mention to Bob, I would mention it publicly as well. I was told from prior city manager as well that this would be a 5-year lease with term renewals instead of it just being 20 with 10, 10, 10. And the reason was whether Project Lift was there or something happened or the community direction had changed, that they didn't want this property tied up for 20 to 50 years per se. And I understand with speaking to Bob that might be difficult with financing and stuff like that and getting loans or getting people to get on board with it. But I wasn't going to not mention it because it was something I was told prior. And I think for future, when we do stuff like this, after speaking with Bob, we have two things. It's almost like the lease should have been negotiated and talked about at the time of the inception of the project, so it's not some big surprise, and here we are tonight. But those were my comments. Commissioner Clark, you had your light on?
Thanks. Just piggybacking on what you're saying, the 2024 agreement that we had with them to start off, it kind of covers some of these things, but it's not the detail now that we have this in place and we're going to implement it. So I didn't really look at the differences between both lease. I did go back and review them, but since this is what we're going to work with, I hear what you're saying. The couple of things that I had, the questions that I had was this Guardian. Is that the same Guardian that has done the other CDBG, like the homes that we gave funds for? That's the same Guardian company? Oh, okay, all right, fine. I just wanted to confirm that on the record. And then speaking of Guardian and the way that homes.
Guardian's not mentioned in this lease, correctly?
correct.
No, but she said that they're the ones who are doing making sure the building is overseen for the grant purposes because of the way the funding is.
And
Okay,
also-
all right.
Well, and also for reporting, once it's constructed, we do have to
For
report
reporting,
for
yes.
5 years, right?
Okay, that's who helps with the grant management and all that. And the pass-through for the grant and, okay. So with regard to that and the building itself, I've heard comments on the structure of the building. I remember when the building came in, the proposed plans came in, and we had to look at them, and we knew that it was only going to be a certain height, and we had looked at the facade, and the facade seemed fine. But I think people are, now that it's there, and it's tough because it is there, people are saying that, it is kind of, I would like they believe that the architecture and the building material is out of character with the area. And I know that you're going to be doing iron and steel and whatever you do in there with people using tools and equipment. They may have fire and all that. And so it has to be a certain type of material, and it's built with that type of industrial look and feel. Probably by the time it's finished painting and it goes to the pictures that we saw, it might be a softer feel to the community. But I know in the construction phase, a lot of people were up in arms as to, saying, hey, this looks like something that's just way out of character. However, right across the corner, there's an old motel, there's a police department, there's a fire department. Those are fairly big buildings. They are set back from the road. so it does give a different look and feel. But that's a concern, nothing that I can do anything about, but I just want to let you know that, no, we're going to have landscaping, more landscaping put in Pinal.
Well,
Along-
it was approved. From right
Yeah,
now?
yeah,
Yes, yes.
when the landscaping goes in,
Yes,
it will
definitely.
probably look different
Right,
in
it'll bring the
appearance.
scale down.
Yes, it will look different in appearance when the landscaping goes in, plus when the landscaping starts to grow and flourish. But that was that I've heard that concern from many people about the way that it looks, and because we have all the single family behind it. But we have big buildings. We have the Boys and Girls Club. We have the police department, the fire department. It's Martin Luther King Boulevard, and so that's what that is. But the landscaping, when that goes in, that will soften that whole building.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, it's the entire plan. The entire project isn't completed yet. And I think one of the biggest things that you could do, and anybody that's concerned, has a similar landscape plan that we have on the Hope Sound site. Anybody can come down and take a look at that at any time. And I've only received compliments on it. So I think I've never had anybody say anything different. Maybe that's just because they're talking to me about it. But the reality is, I think that it's been well received. Anybody that does want to come see what the finished product looks like, it's down there. But it's only a couple weeks out from receiving all of the landscaping that it's going to take. And there's also a wall that's in the back that we're working on as well. There's a wall that runs straight down the back side of the property that has a nice walk path that comes right through the property from one side to the other side. That I know Cody Johnson has been working on with Pinal.
Try and get a mural there.
Get a mural up,
Thank
yeah.
you.
There's going to be a mural the entire length. And I think that's for other people to discuss in terms of
people.
what's going to be on it. But from what I understand, it's going to be paying homage to the timeline of East Stewart.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes,
I'd like to reiterate too to the board members, we're discussing the lease terms. The project's already been approved. The
Yes.
project's almost complete for their certificate of occupancy. If we could just keep the questions and the comments and concerns regarding this lease, I stated mine. Does any other board members have a concern or a question for clarification regarding the 23-page lease that's in our agenda packet? So for me personally, like I stated earlier, I think if there's a sublease, the public should be well aware of it without doing a public record request. I think it should be on the consent calendar. I think that's how the lease should be done, so we have full transparency. And then also to reiterate the terms of the lease, if they should be 20 years with three, is it 3 10-year renewal terms, I believe?
Yeah, 310 year.
Like I did tell you, Bob, I try to be full transparent. I know it's not ideal, but if the public, so happen to change, if a building's tied up for 50 years, and I understand your perspective, and my perspective is I have to be in the middle, right? I'm neutral. I'm on Project Lift side. I'm also on the community side. My constituents vote me in every 4 years, and I try to hear their concerns and stuff as well. And also what I was told from prior city manager, that it'd be a 5-year term with renewal options. And I know that's not ideal for your situation, but it's that fine balance between the public that I represent and serve, and also the agenda items that I vote on for the public and try to represent them. But if no board member wants to discuss any of those two things, then, Commissioner Giobbe?
Yes, I would like to discuss them, and I agree that there should be definite language regarding subleasing. We fell into a little bit of problems in the past where the city was not even aware that city property was being subleased, so I think that that's important, that is done. And I do agree that it should become before the commissioners if there is a sublease that's in progress or being done between Lyft and another entity at that building. So I agree, and I think that the motion or the lease should be amended to state so. Thank you.
I comment
Yeah,
a
you
little bit
can,
on
yep.
that? Okay. So on I think it's pretty clear and pretty protected as to what can be there. And honestly, we're there to operate. I'm not there to sublease to outside characters that don't have the ability to do that. So what I would think on that, Commissioner Ginobili, is that we want to make sure that we have speed as well to making sure that we're able to get the things in place that we need to get in place. So I think you need to think about, is that include the NAACP? Does that include the Heritage Association? How do you want to balance that out?
I think it should just be any sublease. I know personally, and my opinion is, if someone's going to sublease it, I think the community should be aware of it. I know it, like I said, I know it's not
That's fine,
ideal.
yeah.
But the language I would like to see, and for me to support a motion up here, it would have to come in front of the consent calendar if that's possible, Lee, so we don't run into the same issue. And I know it has nothing to do with Project Lift per se, but I think it should be across the board.
Yeah, I mean, we're a pretty robust program. You know, we have 17 years of operations. We have impeccable audits and 990s. And
Yeah.
the amount of money that we have to raise for this program to keep it going every year is right around $1.5 million. That means at the end of 20 years, as I talked with you about, Commissioner Reed, is we're going to be over $30 million invested by the time we get to 20 years, right? So there has to be some sort of ability for us to have the security of being able to be on a lease for a significant amount of time. Otherwise, I'm going to have a tremendously difficult time raising money for support, right? Because we need to have that in place in order to be able to raise support. Grants ask these questions all the time. What is your sustainability? And if I've got a 5-year
years on and
lease, we might as well talk about something else right now, because it couldn't happen. Not only that, but employer partnerships. If I've got employer partnerships that are looking to make sure that we're sustaining and getting the jobs for our community that we say that we're going to get, and that we're not, we only have a 5-year window and we can be removed at any point, like it's not, I don't know that would work. Program revenue is another issue. Is we've got to make sure that not across the board, whether that's individual donors, family foundations, philanthropists in general, but just general revenue generation for us, whether that's through our programs or program processes. The reality is, I got to have sustainability, and to me, that's the most important thing, is that 20 years. Well, I'm not asking for 99 years on a piece of property. Come on. I mean, this is a nonprofit organization that has a proven track record.
Bob, I got a question for you. Would it be the same if you had, I understand you're asking for 20 years on the first term. Would it be equivalent to the same if it was 5 with 3 renewals that filled that? And then, is it perceived the same? Is it
It's
perceived
not, Sean.
differently?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Reed. It's really important that we have that first term so that I can get out running. I've already made requests for state appropriations to go into this project. We've already made changes to make sure that we have the proper operating budget in place. And oh, by the way, I'm responsible, or Project Lift's responsible for everything, everything, not some things, but everything. Anything goes wrong with that building, we're responsible for it. Anything maintenance-wise goes wrong with that building, we're responsible for it. We're responsible for the electricity, the water, the operating budget that's related to that. We're talking over $100,000 a year just in operational facilities costs, right? That's not to charge back to the NAACP or the Heritage Association, whoever else is wanting to join in, or the business incubations. There's no charge. I have to do that. If we don't have the ability to have long-term sustainability in place, you're dead in the water. You have to have that. And I think that that's a small price to pay, honestly, at this point. We've put in the architectural renderings, which did not cost the city anything. It was a couple $100,000 worth of renderings. We're putting in all the equipment, all of the staffing. We're hiring from the community. We're doing everything that we said we would do, which is probably a far cry from some of the other leases that you have out there. So I apologize or I think it stinks that I might be being compared to that at this point. But the reality is, we're here to stay. This is my community. I'm here for 50 years. Not going anywhere.
It was just on the sublease, though.
That's
That's all.
and that's what I did.
yeah.
I was talking the 20 years. and
Oh.
I think I switched gears because it's in my
You
brain.
did, and I was about to address that.
Commissioner
Okay.
Giovi, you had
So
your
what I
lights on.
was addressing was the sublease, and this would be it has nothing to do with Lyft. It's going forward. City property, we need to be aware of what's being
Yeah,
sublet.
I'm
Right.
fine. I'm
Okay,
totally
so
fine with
that's
that.
really what
I'm
I
just
was addressing
thinking
was the
speed-
sublease.
Speed for the city manager is, you're going to have a lot of going back and forth. I think it's a consent agenda item is what I heard you might say on it.
It should
As
be
long as-
on, it should be on the agenda so that the commissioners are aware. We don't want to find out after a sublease has been given that all of a sudden we find out city property has a sublease. So everything that I was saying was really about the sublease, not about the years. I don't
sorry.
know if
Yeah.
the mayor wants to address maybe a 15-year, to kind of split the difference, 15-year with then renewables.
I see Bob shaking his head. Is
20
it,
years
is,
is good.
I just want to fully understand it, too.
It's already
So,
well under, it's well under industry standard
yeah.
already.
I was told the sublease stuff is easy to fix, just switch it from city manager to city commission. So that's easy
That's
to
an
fix
easy
that.
fix.
Sorry for the sublease stuff. So that's an easy fix. As far as the terms and it being the length, is that like the grants? Like, I guess I want to understand more as well, Bob.
Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is going to cost us, we're going to have to raise $1.5 million to $2 million a year to be able to support the operation of this. Now, I've been in this business a long time. Raising money is not easy, and I can tell you one of actually the first question in any finance department asks when you're applying for grants is how sustainable are you, right? And if I say to them, hey, we have this lease is where this money is going, and they want to look at the lease terms, then they see 5 years, they're not going to put any funds into it.
And this is specifically towards the grant underwriting process, right?
It's grants, individual
Or
donors.
private investor? Is it private investor?
I
Like,
don't call, my donors
or-
aren't private
okay.
investors, but
Donors.
they're donors, and it's their hard-earned money that they have earned over their lifetime, and they're trusting us to do what's right with that. If I get multi-year grants or multi-year commitments or even single-year commitments, they want to know that their investment is going to be taken care of in that area.
So follow-up question, with the donors that donate money, are these donors that are in the trade industry per se? Or like the private
I mean,
donors?
it's all
It's all
across the board.
across the board.
Yeah, I mean, we have probably 6 or 7 legs of I call it like a leg of a stool, here's where all our donations come from and how it all operates.
And with those private donors, would they get like the I don't want to say preferential treatment, but like when you have these kids graduate and stuff, they're meant to go into like their industry, I guess, and maybe work for them, internship for them
We don't
after
do
they
preferential
Okay.
treatment. Yeah, it's if the job fits the kid and there's happens to be a industry partner. You're talking about two different things a
Yeah.
little bit. So your industry partners who are contributing maybe in special events, right? It doesn't mean that they get a special
Gotcha,
preferential
okay.
treatment. They just if a kid wants to be a roofer and this is a roofing company and that matches and the culture is good, then we help connect that dot.
Okay.
If they're welders, same thing, boat building, automotive repair, carpentry, construction, same stuff.
Okay.
But there's no preferential
Yeah.
treatment.
Just figured I'd ask. Commissioner Rich, you had a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I wish this discussion was taking place in the context of a motion, but having run a nonprofit for 30 years, nowhere near the scale of Project Lift. And we did finally get to sort of your type of proven record. 5 years is the blink of an eye. You can't do anything if all you can do is promise 5 years. You cannot get the big donors, the big private donors. You cannot do strategic planning. He has earned the right to share this commitment with our community of 20 years. If he totally screws it up, we can terminate it. But his record has indicated that that's not the case at all. The Sailing Center we finally ended up with 30 years. We realized we needed 30 years to make the plans necessary and raise the funds that we needed to. So I was actually surprised to see that this was only
It-
20
it is-
years. I would have
it's well
no
under-
interest at all in shortening this term.
It's under an industry standard. already.
Yeah.
And
What was, if you don't mind me asking, what was the sailing center's initial terms?
Well, the initial terms, when we had nothing, it was 5 years at a time.
Gotcha, okay.
But
And did you raise money?
did the sailing center paid for everything ourselves.
Yeah.
The building, the instructor is just similar. But we never got a grant for $10 million. But
And-
no, we're very similar situation in bearing the responsibility for funding and running the organization.
And the reason I was doing it this way, Commissioner Rich, before we got a motion was so we could discuss it as a board. A motion is made, then the public would comment not only on the motion, but also the discussion we had to say, yes, I agree with that individual up there, I like that, I don't like that, so I figured we'd discuss it first. But any other questions for Bob or staff regarding this, or are we gonna entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor, with regard to resolution number 43, 2026, Lee, have you read the resolution already?
Yes. he did.
Okay. I move that we approve this resolution as presented to us and recommended by staff.
I'll second the motion.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
No.
No, we're just putting it on.
So there's a motion for approval of resolution number 43, 2026 regarding Project Lift lease agreement and seconded by Commissioner Giobbe. Is there any public comment on this? I see your lights on after the fact, Rich.
Well, I'd
So-
like to ask Commissioner Clark if she would accept an amendment that, I believe it was in section 11, that language be added.
Include certain organizations?
No.
Where it comes in
that,
front of the board for
If a
subleases?
subleasee,
Mm.
if a subleasee
Section-
signs an agreement
Two things, actually.
that, Mr. Baggett, help me, was what
I
would be the
would-
most
I would
appropriate
suggest-
language?
I would suggest just replacing where it says city manager and put city commission.
In section
Right, so
11.
that the city
So it would read,
commissioners would be aware, and so would the
Written
community.
consent of the
Uh,
city commission.
No,
Yeah.
well, no, it would have to be a motion. It would have to be an
Yeah, it has to be
agenda
a motion.
item.
well, if you have to get written consent from the city commission, it would be an agenda item.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mhm.
we
It
don't
would be,
write, we
it would be
vote.
equivalent when we've done assignments of, like when, we've done assignments of the marina. It had to come before you and you had to do a resolution when they signed it to a new company, because they had like a 50, 60-year lease and they've assigned, they were in 10, 20 years in and they assigned it to a new company. So that
Mr.
came
Mayor-
before you.
That's
wanna-
different. This is just he's renting out one little office space.
I know, I'm saying that's an example of where
Yeah.
we've also required that to come to you.
Thank you. Mr.
Uh,
Mayor,
Commissioner Clark,
I'd like
yes.
to accept the, I have a motion on the floor which was
Right.
seconded by Ms. Yobi, and I'd like to accept the friendly amendment proposed by Commissioner Campbell Rich. So in section 11.1, it would be, second sentence, other than such, this lease shall not be subject to assignment or sublet by the lessee without first obtaining the written consent of the Stuart City Commission, and such consent shall not be unreasonably withheld, conditioned, or delayed.
Good.
I'll second the amended motion.
Thank
Would
you.
that suffice, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion for Resolution 43, 2026 regarding Project Lift lease agreement with the changes for subleasing, for it to come in front of the city board from Commissioner Clark and seconded by Commissioner Giobbe. Now, are there any public comments regarding this motion?
Yes, Mayor. I have James Christie.
Welcome, James.
First of all, I want to thank Patel, Pinal, I'm sorry, Pinal, Commissioner Reed, and also Leggett. You guys were expedient about coming in the community and fixing the doggone Smith Turner Park. Thank you so very much. It was a safety issue. Right now, I'm just extremely disgusted. Extremely disgusted. Let me make sure I got my timer here. What about the community? What about the community? Attorney Baggett says that either the city commissioner or Project Lift can get out of the agreement. Either one. What about the community? What about if Project Lift comes in a community and we don't like it? We have issues. What about the community being able to stop something, being able to make a recommendation to stop it? That facility is 100 feet from my property, and he's still on that. So it's 50 feet from my grandmother's property. It's about 60 feet from my great aunt's property. We have an interest in there. I'm hearing so much stuff and new stuff. Commissioner Reed, if you're perplexed about some things you just heard, you think the community heard any of this? You think the community heard about them being able to lease the property now to anybody? And I guarantee you, Commissioner Clark, if we see anybody go in that building, that's the NAACP or anybody, we're going to examine quid pro quo. We're going to question that. We get new stuff every day about what they could do. It's 20 years now instead of 5. Everything has changed. That building was proposed for our area to help East Stewart. It's extracted all that $11 million from East Stewart. Nothing's going to go in that community except traffic and potential trouble. This is extremely disgusting for me tonight to hear all of this new stuff and to know how that property came. I got news reports. I got city websites stating the benefit for East Stewart. We're not seeing any of that. We're not seeing any of that. And the money was put in there, the grants were gotten off the backs of East Stewart. And you go show the executive committee, you won't see one black face on there. The board, you won't see one black face, but the black people can give up the property, deal with the issues, and then we could be plastered all over, and with 51%, and the people can't even come out of East Stewart. That's a shame. That's disgusting. The community, some people in the community are very upset.
Thank you, James.
Next, I have Cody Johnson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Well, I've spoke with Bob. I've spoke with the NAACP. I've did my homework about Project Lift. I visited the facility, and I believe it could be a tool for the community, to build back workforce. The business incubation, that's I know it's been a topic of discussion deeply amongst the community, but incubation starts with the resources being there. Incubation doesn't start just by having a space to just occupy. You have to have the tools there. As far as the subleasing, it's been brought to my attention that the NAACP and other organizations will be there. Hopefully, these organizations will, represent the community in the best of ways, working hand in hand with the community. Bob has engaged the community. He's been active. He's actually been to meetings with an advisory board of, my peers and actual residents of East Stewart. He's communicated a lot of things. He's been transparent, and my personal take is I feel like it can be a very useful tool for a very blight neighborhood, As far as the 20-year lease and the $1 a year, that's completely discretionary to, you guys. I mean, Campbell Rich, he says he's been in the business, the nonprofit business. I've ventured into that avenue, and I do realize that it takes some time. A normal business is just 5 years, and that's a LLC or anything to start seeing the the profit or anything changing. You know, a nonprofit is structured differently, so I do understand that it's, because I was one of the biggest critics of the 20-year lease, you know, but understanding the industry more, you know, that's just how you can say it just comes with the territory. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Cody. I was actually the one that pushed for the NAACP to be a sublease during the discussion of Project Lift. Since my tenure up here, just wanted to make sure that Jimmy had a spot to still host his community events. I just wanted the public to be aware of it, do a consent agenda item, that's all. So, thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Cody.
Jimmy Smith.
Welcome, Jimmy.
Don't trip over that.
Good evening, Commissioners. How y'all doing? I just want to say, take this moment to thank you all for the support of this Project Lift. I hear concerns. It's always going to be concerns. There's always concern about anything built anywhere. That's all across the world. And a lot of time, we don't all see visions the same. And sometimes it takes time for a vision to come across, and then you realize, wow, okay, it makes sense. I've been here in Martin County all these years when it was 80 business. I was a kid. I walked the streets. My father was an entrepreneur. My father has helped do so many great things in this county. School board, helped people got great jobs, career jobs. And then we have people maybe not don't understand things and don't see it. But I looked at in East Stuart being over there, occupied that building, a rundown building. Mr. Gary did the best he can over there, all right? And we had all those things. We had businesses there. We had a car wash. We had all that stuff there and didn't have the funds to support it. Once they knocked down the other part of Cherokee, over 100 families that had got just relocated, all right? They lost that revenue to be able to help fund it. I know we talk about an incubator in the community. You know what I'm saying? Well, we need those, but you cannot get that and if you don't have funds. Our kids need an education. We need skills. Our kids need to be able to work and learn how to raise money, make money, and have a career job. We have a few businesses that left there. They don't even have enough support in the community. There's not enough revenue circulating. I remember in the years before, back in 1968, money circulate 3 times before even I get out of the community. Now the community, the money don't even last in the community. The fastest people get a check, the first is going out of the community. So with this new project, with Project Lift, we all should be proud of it in the vision you'll see later. We got Palm Beach County, we got all kind of counties that are begging for Project Lift to come in. I went to the meeting, Palm Beach, the mayors, the city. Right now, we're promoting all across the state of Florida that I think that it should be in every community because the kids, parents can't afford to send the kids to college. Okay, here go an opportunity for our kids to get the same degree, and then be able to help them find a job, and then they ain't got to pay. They're getting paid to learn. Who in the heck would turn down an opportunity for my child to get a career job and get paid? And then the kids can't afford shoes, the parents can't afford to buy them nice things. These children can pay for their own stuff. They can learn how to be responsible. And we're sitting here today, and we say community, yeah, you're always going to have a few people that have rejection of someone because they don't like this or don't like that. That's normal. It's good to have negative and positive because negative make positive look good and positive make negative look bad. So my consent to you is that my time is up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Next, I have Gail Goldie.
Welcome, Gail.
Good evening, Commissioners. Gail Goldie, 1153 Northwest 12th Terrace in Stuart. Again, I'm not a city resident, but I am a community. I am part of the county. And I take just as much pride and interest in the city as if I lived here. I just want to say that I think Project Lift is a wonderful, wonderful program. I'm glad that the city is supporting Project Lift in any way that they can. My concern is for Project Lift and the lease that is before you. I've been here quite a while, and I have seen leases that the city has given out, and several of the commissioners have already mentioned the changes that happened after the lease was given and what happened. One was the Pelican, where the people who had the Pelican had the lease. They came up here and were looking for changes to the lease, swearing that they would not sell the lease or they would not sell the building or do whatever it was. I think it was because they were leased, they could just sell the lease. And lo and behold, the commissioners gave them what they wanted, and 2 months later, what did they do? They sold the lease. They sold the lease to the Hudson, and the Hudson took that lease and built that property over there. And then the other thing was the Flagler Center. Flagler Center was leased to the Martin downtown Main Street, and what were they doing? Subleasing. And that money, and in addition to that, the city paid $70,000 a year to downtown Stuart to help run it, which was supposed to have ended, but it has not ended as yet, and that's probably 10 years. So I want to see the project lift be a huge success, and I hope that provisions can still be made to this lease so that things that are discussed with helping to make sure that everything is safe and sound for the city and Project Lift, that no one suffers extreme charges and costs. Let's just project out 50 years or 30 years. I won't be here. Many of us won't be here. But if Project Lift, if something were to happen and Project Lift were to disappear and couldn't function there any longer, what would then happen to that property according to the lease? Could that lease be sold? Could that lease be turned over to someone else? I just want to make sure that there's plenty of provisions in there that Project Lift doesn't run into any problems that we can stop from happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee, can this lease be sold?
There is an assignment and sublet, which is section 11, which we are. First off, it can't be with the first 5 years because the restrictions, we gotta have them in. But once the 5 years elapses and they could close out the program, then that restriction can be released by the state from the grant program. Basically, yes, we have an assignment and sublet section in section 11, so it can be assigned or sublet. We've talked about sublet, we've not talked about assign, but assign is in the same section, so.
Okay, so it could be assigned to another organization as it's currently written?
With our approval.
Yes, with our approval.
With commissioner.
Correct.
Commissioners have to approve it.
And you know, even though the 5 years is all that's required to do the reporting, I think our lease agreement says we're continuing the reporting beyond that between Project Lift and the city. So, but that was one of the concerns I had. Mr. Zacchio wanted more than 20 years, so I went back and forth multiple times between he and his lawyer, and I started out at the 5 years.
Yeah.
But he made a compelling argument to me to present the 20 years to you, which you guys have heard the same argument that I heard. So they also wanted the renewals to be much more harder to non-renew it. But I did insist after 20 years that we have a non-renewal for any reason or no reason at all, as long as you give 18 months notice before the termination of the lease, or the expiration of the lease, I should say. So at 20 years, 18 months before that expires, the city commission can decide at that point, do we want to non-renew it for some other reason? And I was honest with Bob, that he and I are going to be gone. We're not going to be here 20 years from now. And so it'll be successors. We might be around, but we're probably not going to be in the same capacity.
Bob is not that old.
I think it's highly, that's the discussion we have, whether you guys believe that or not. I have good health, I hope I am still here. But,
We won't be sitting here.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, we'll be in different capacities. So I insisted on 20 years so that we're not stuck in a lease for 50 years. Right. So I made that, so then we do have 3 10-year renewals, but at each of those renewals 18 months before, the city commission can say, hey, we want to go in a different direction, you know? And we have that, we don't have to give a reason, as long as you give 18 months' notice. So that's why I put that in there as a protection, because Bob wanted 50 years, basically. So, but I went from 5, but that was where we were. And again, we were bringing this to you. You still had to approve it, but you guys are still discussing it now.
Commissioner Clark and Commissioner Giobi, do you want me to continue with public comment, or do you want to?
Oh, no.
You should finish public comment.
Okay.
Finish public comment, and then we'll.
Mary, do we have any more public comment?
I have no further public comment.
Okay. Commissioner Clark, you had your light on.
Okay, yes, so with regard to section 11.1, which goes to the assignment and the sublet, is it better to now at least characterize the type of organizations? I know we said places that are consistent with the customer practice and program delivery, that they could have it with mission-aligned partners, volunteers, or collaborators. Should we put an example such as, so that it's very clear that whoever is on the city council, that we know what the idea was, what kind of community organizations we're looking to? It's not only those, but it could be included but not limited to, so that it's very clear that there won't be any question when a group like the NAACP or somebody comes in with Project Lift and say, this is what we'd like to have a sublease with them. I'm thinking if we should just put that in there now and get it over with, so that there's no question. I know it would have been more question if it was left up with the city manager approval, but we're saying they're coming in front of the city council. But if we have a good parameter of where we're going, and everybody's on the same page going towards the North Star, then I think that it's better.
Regardless, it's going to have to come in front of the board, but.
Yeah, but limited,
see what
but
Bob has to
including but not limited to.
Can I make a comment to that?
Yes, sir.
I totally understand, and I couldn't agree more. I think there should be options for organizations to come in partnership. I think there should be some mutual agreement related to it, though. Like, I can't just have anybody just walking in and saying, hey, I'm going to come up to the podium and say, I want to sublease part of Project Lift. All in favor? And then all of a sudden, I'm stuck with a non-conforming sublease. I got to have that protection in there. I think that we're being more than reasonable here with making sure that the community is engaged properly.
Okay, can I continue that before Mr. Lee answers? Mr. Lee, may I? Okay, so I agree with that. So Pinal knows this because she's done some appendices before with different things. So maybe as a part of this lease, we need to have an appendix, Mr. Baggett, that says it would be in this form if somebody's going to sublease with you. And maybe that's something that we can come up with, or that's something that we say that we're going to come up with. But it would have to be something that they would, it says it in here, but it's not itemized. And if we have an appendix that says anybody who's subleasing with you meets these things that are already in here, but laid out in a format that we know that they're going to be in
Commissioner Clark,
compliance.
with all due respect, like, I'm raising a lot of money to be able to meet the needs of those outcomes that I'm required to do. If I've got to be able to, if I have to hold the hand of an organization that has nothing to do with what Project Lift is doing, or isn't even remotely associated with it, and I've got to flip the bill for it at the same time, I think I need to have some.
No, not
Okay.
you. They have to do it, but when they come in, whether city manager or us, we have to know that they've already done 1, 2, 3, and they're easy to, there's something that can be approved.
I don't know. You're based upon us making a decision as to what that criteria can be, standing here in a commission meeting.
Isn't it in this agreement now?
It
It said that they should be mission aligned.
mission aligned, yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying you wanted to give specific criteria, an example of an
No, we
organization.
just put the same things here, mission aligned, da-da-da.
Absolutely.
Able to produce jobs, assist you in
But you wanted to
producing
give an
jobs.
example, is what I heard?
Yeah, you want it to be definitive.
I think that, if we need to,
I think mission aligned suffices, but legal wants to comment.
okay.
I would agree.
If you look at 11.1, the first
Yes,
sentence,
sir.
the lessee may grant licenses, shared use to mission-aligned partners. So
It's already-
Project Lift would have to make the decision who they want to sublease to, and then they bring it to us. And so I don't think this, it's my opinion that this, the way the language is in here, that not anybody can come in and say, I demand to be in his, be a sublessee at Project Lift. This is something you have to be agreeable to and bring to us, the city.
Thank you. Yeah.
Clark, I don't know.
Thank you. So, Mr. Attorney, City
Thank you.
Attorney, is that licenses and shared use different from an assignment or sublet? Because those are two different things. The assignment and the sublet should be approved by the city council. The grant licenses and shared use to mission-aligned partners should be done by Project Lift. Can we distinguish those, or maybe they need to be completely set apart? Because it says other than such, so they're already set
I
apart.
mean, if we want to change licensees and share lease to just sublet, I mean, I don't remember if that was my language or your language. So she's saying lessee may grant licenses or shared use. I guess technically, that might not be a sublessee.
It's not,
Right.
it wouldn't be, there's not going to be a sublease on it, but let's.
I remember.
There's an
okay.
example,
Right, right.
is that we, we have licensure with Penn Foster, which is our licensing organization for our high school diploma program, right? I have to have that in partnership. So if that language is eliminated, then you could come in and say, we don't want you to use them, you have to use somebody else, and I just don't want it to be that way. I think
That's
keeping
good,
it the
and
way it
that's good,
is-
and that's
yeah.
different from
It's
the
different, right? I have
sublet.
partnerships that I have to have. They're like platforms that you might have online, that kind of thing. So,
Does that
Thank you, Lee. Yeah.
suffice, Commissioner Clark, your questions?
As long as everything suffices when we have to look at it and nobody says we should have done this or we should have, could have.
Do another reading, but
Other than that example, he's got to come before us with the sublease.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Commissioner Giovi.
I'm at the point, I just want clarification. There are things that Bob wants to align with other companies. Doesn't mean they're going to actually share space at Project Lift. Is that my?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're just
It's-
aligned,
there's
they're gonna have their
be-
logo in your building saying, we provide this and we're aligned with this company. That's a separate issue from the physical space we're talking about for assignment and for leasing.
Yeah.
So my question is, number one, how much space are we talking about? He needs lifts, he needs lots of things to be able to teach these young people to do all this. How much space is there to be leased?
There's only a limit, there's a capacity.
For like special events or where
Right.
NAACP would meet
So they're
once a
kind
month
of
or-
one-time event leases, which
Yeah.
would come actually under a different category. I mean, that's a one-time lease they're going in for an event, that's really an event lease. So I just kind of thought it was getting a little mixed up here. I think we're talking about people that he will align himself with. They might have, logos and whatnot on his walls. They've come in and maybe talked to the young people he's with. They're pushing a product. And then there's the physical space of assignment or leasing.
think that's
I'm
what
assuming
that
the
is
assignment would
addressed.
be if they're assigning the whole building.
I mean, it says that we can have events and assignments
Yeah.
and different things. So
that's good.
I know we got to have that in order to be
Right,
able
no,
to sustain it,
absolutely.
yeah.
I think it's just getting all mixed up in the verge of.
But Commissioner
it-
Ginobili, it's, there,
Giovi.
Ginobili, I'm like, I'm
G-O-B.
getting it all right.
It's
Gino-
okay.
Three
Gino-
letters, G-O-B.
Ginobili. I think that might have been
It's
someone
okay.
from my past. I apologize. Commissioner Laura, I appreciate
There you go.
All right. It's, there's only, to your point, there's only so much of a footprint there, right? It's not like there's a ton of space that's going to be, lease after sublease after all these. That's not going to happen. It's going to be mission-aligned organizations.
Yes.
Whether it's an assignment or a sublease, it's all the same.
Perfect.
Commissioner Giovi or Lightly?
Yes, I have a question for our attorney. Thank you, Bob.
Ginobili, like for some reason.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize.
The question is, do we need to be definitive in the lease to say that? Do we need to be definitive that we're talking about leases that are for physical space or 6-month or year or 2-year lease that they're leasing out versus event leases?
Well, I think
And
it's pretty
then-
clear in 11.1 already.
is.
Okay, so then it is. So then I think we've just gone round robin for no reason. Okay.
No more public comment? All right, so we have a motion. I made my comments. I would like to see a smaller lease term, just because of the public ever changed, but I understand, I'm one person, you know, there's four of us. So, Mary, roll call?
May I just make one?
Oh, yeah, I didn't, your light wasn't on. Commissioner Rich, you have a comment?
You know, we've entered
Sorry.
into an
It
agreement with Project Lift and Mr. Zacchio. He has a proven record. Let's let him run his business
Amen.
because he's working for the welfare of his students and he's working for the welfare of the community. That's clear. If he abandons that effort, we'll find out and we'll be able to take corrective
And
action.
we will find you if you do that.
I got a lot more to answer.
You should go to one of his graduations.
Amen.
He is changing people's lives. He is changing families' lives. It was one of the most powerful and fun events I have ever been to. And I'm glad we're in business together.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich. Mary, can you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Resolution number 43, 2026. I have Commissioner Rich.
And just to be, it includes the amendment of the,
It does.
Consent,
Changing
okay.
the city manager
Yes.
to the city commission.
yes.
Commissioner Giobe,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Reed.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Bob. Yes!
Before we move on, to the board members, when you flip your light switch on, just leave it on until I turn it off, because it confuses me, because I'll turn it off and I'm turning it back on. So sometimes I think it's still lit up, but,
Battle of the switches.
yes, they work though. Moving on to commission action item on number 4, letter of support for Treasure Coast Food Bank Senior Food and Resource Program. Lee, if you could read that.
Sure. Resolution number 45-2026, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, approving letter of support to Governor DeSantis for 404 special categories, grants and aids, Older Americans Act program. The Treasure Coast Food Bank Senior Food and Resource Program. This investment is critical to the reducing food insecurity and improving the health outcomes for older adults across Indian River, Martin, St. Lucie, and Okeechobee counties, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Is there anyone here from Treasure Coast Food Bank? My only question was, just when I Googled it, they're in Fort Pierce, and I was just curious how many people they serve in the city of Stuart or
Oh, my goodness.
Martin. I was just curious, just a simple question, but,
Yeah, they do.
yes. If you would come to the podium. Welcome, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Yes, I'm Carol Ann Leonard. I don't live in the city, but I live in the county. I'm familiar with a lot of what they do because they spoke to one of our groups. And I know from personal experience that they help some of the churches around Stuart in handing out food and helping people that really need some help of all ages. And they have a wonderful facility in Fort Pierce. And so I hope you will support them. And also, I'll put in a plug for the House of Hope here in Stuart.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes. Milton and I went up there for the Pack the House.
Milton Leggett, Public Works Director. The city of Stuart also participated with the city of Port St. Lucie. We all work together as far as that goes. So we do it every year.
Okay.
And we hope you support
Yeah.
the letter.
Thank you, Milton.
Thank you, Milton.
Thank you.
Milton came up just like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, just let us know he bought.
So do we have a motion from the commission or any questions?
With regard to item number 45, 2026, resolution number, move approval.
I second the motion.
We have a motion for approval of Resolution 45, 2026 from Commissioner Clark and seconded by Commissioner Giovi. Are there any public comments regarding this motion? Seeing no public comment, Mary, roll call?
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Rich,
Yes?
Mayor Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Giobe.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to ordinance second reading. Lee, if you could read that, and just a reminder to the board members to get your yellow card out for a quasi-judicial hearing.
Mr. Reed, just to
Thank you. All right, introduces the item, let's see. Ordinance 2546, 2025 for second reading, and if you could read the agenda item, Lee.
Ordinance number 2546-2025, an ordinance of City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, approving a major amendment to Phase 3B of the Windermere Point Commercial Planned Unit Development, providing for an amendment to the master site plan to authorize the development of a 1,995 square foot Popeyes restaurant with dual drive-through lanes located at the southeast corner of Northwest Windermere Drive and Northwest Federal Highway, providing for conditions of approval, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
Do the commissioners have any ex parte communications to disclose? Commissioner Rich?
I read one email in opposition to this project.
Okay. Commissioner Giobbe?
I spoke with the department, the development department, and I did have several emails from neighbors and individuals who were against the project.
Commissioner Clark?
Eula Clark, I think I spoke to staff briefly about this project. I've saw at least one email from a lady who was opposed to the project, and there might have been other emails, but whatever they are, I hope that staff has them, or I'll try to refer mine to staff to make sure that they're captured.
My ex parte would be communication via email where residents had contacted us. And I believe I've made between 1 and 3 Facebook posts on my government official page where I turn off commenting, so there's no ex parte on the Facebook site, but I still wanted to disclose that it's posted and they could reach us for comment. If the city attorney could place any potential witnesses under oath as well.
Sure. Before I do that, I just want to give a little intro. In a quasi-judicial hearing, which this is, the City Commission steps outside of its legislative or administrative role and into a judicial capacity. The City Commission will be making a determination by applying existing laws, ordinances, and regulations to the facts presented to the board. Everything needs to be officially entered into the record, and testimony needs to be under oath. The commissioners are also required to disclose any ex parte communications that occurred prior to the hearing, which they just did. So will all potential witnesses for the applicant and city staff please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. Do you affirm that the testimony that you are about to provide in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may be seated.
Will the development department please provide a brief summary of the agenda item, including the location, size of the property, current zoning, zoning requested, and list the applicant's request to deviate from the land use development regulations, if any?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jody Kugler. I'm the Development Director with the City of Stuart. I'm presenting agenda item number 5, the second reading for a major amendment to the commercial planned unit development known as Windermere Point. A petition to develop Popeyes fast food convenient restaurant with double drive-through lanes within the vacant footprint of Phase 3B of the commercial planned unit development. The request was brought before the local planning agency on November 13, 2025. The first hearing before the commission was on January 12, 2026. The City Commission voted to postpone the second hearing until the applicant addressed the monument sign, traffic, and a letter from James Tucker dated January 9, 2026 that was received by the clerk's office on January 12, 2026. The applicant is seeking to modify the approved site plan to develop and reduce the size of Phase 3B development of the CPUD. Pursuant to the Land Development Code public notice requirements, on May 22, 2026, the applicant mailed notices to all property owners within 300 feet of the subject parcel to provide details of the requested development and the date and time of tonight's public hearing. Additionally, 2 signs were updated and posted on the property with the same information. The meeting scheduled for June 8th was rescheduled via the commission meeting for today's date, so the public hearing requirements have been met. The Windermere Point Commercial Planned Unit Development comprises of 3 parcels totaling approximately 9 acres. The 1.64 acre parcel outlined in teal is the location of the proposed project with the address of 1961 Northwest Federal Highway. The parcel is situated at the southeast corner of Northwest Windermere Drive and US Highway 1. The subject parcel is currently designated by the Commercial Plan Unit Zoning District. Northwest Windermere Drive is situated to the north, Northwest Federal Highway is situated to the west, and the properties to the south is zoned Commercial Plan Unit Development. And the properties to the east is also zoned Commercial Plan Unit Development. The subject parcel, as well as the parcels to the south and east, are designated by the Commercial Future Land Use Designation. To the north is Northwest Windermere Drive, and to the west is Northwest Federal Highway. The original approval for the 3B granted under Resolution 99, 2017, and adopted on September 25, 2017, authorized the development of a 2,034 square foot retail space and a 1,794 square foot restaurant with a drive-through totaling 3,828 square feet. The applicant,
During a quasi-judicial hearing, can one of the members leave?
We have to pause the meeting.
Yeah, I think we need to take a break if you need to use the
All
facility.
right, we're going to take a 5-minute break then. Thank you.
yes, sir.
meeting at 7:34 PM. So you
Thank-
can continue, Jody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The applicant seeks to amend the commercial plan unit development to eliminate the retail portion, designating the restaurant as the sole use for Phase 3B. The applicant is seeking approval from the City of Stuart Commission to construct a 1,995 square foot Popeyes restaurant with dual drive-throughs. This proposal represents a reduction of 1,833 square feet from the total square footage of Phase 3B originally approved by Commission in 2017. The original approval in 2017, the City Commission approved a amendment revising the timetable for 3A to allow for a 5,200 square foot retail and a Phase 3, 1,794 square foot restaurant with drive-through. Based on the local planning agencies and the public feedback, the applicant submitted the proposed color scheme to match the plaza in accordance with Land Development Section 6.05.02, parens F. All large commercial development must provide a minimum of 5 design building treatments as staff identified. Display windows, wood facade, painted face brick, decorative light fixtures, and shutters. According to the submittal, the signage in the elevation proposes a total of 5 signs. One wall sign on the west elevation, fronting US 1 measuring 43.2 square feet. One sign on the elevation fronting northwest Windermere Drive measuring 24.1 square feet. And one chicken graphic 33 square feet. Murals, which are identified as the wall signs in the City of Stuart's Land Development Code. One that says "Love That Chicken" graphic, 117 square feet, and one that says "Famous Louisiana Chicken" graphic, 40 square feet. Reflected on the slide are clear images of the current location. The City of Stuart will continue to provide sanitation services only to the site and issuing consistent and reliable support. The existing parcel provides a total of 103 parking spaces. Of the 21 spaces are allotted to the current retail use. The proposed restaurant development will remove 9 existing spaces, but the plan includes striping 16 new spaces to offset this impact. The restaurant will require 25 parking spaces. Additionally, there will be 64 surplus spaces that would have been utilized if the remaining retail development had been constructed. The proposed development is anticipated to generate approximately 122 trips during the AM peak hour, that is 67 entering and 55 exiting, as well as 229 trips during the PM peak hours, which is 127 entering and 102 exiting. The analysis compared to the proposed trip generation with the previously approved retail development, the traffic consultant's review concluded that the net trip generation for the proposed project reflects a reduction in afternoon peak hours and a de minimis increase less than 1% in the morning hour trips. The proposed site plan includes an impervious surface coverage of 57% and a pervious coverage of 42%. According to Kimley Horn, the city's consultant engineer, reviewer, the submittal drainage statement demonstrates that the project meets the City of Stuart's development criteria. The live oak tree impacted will be relocated on the site by a certified arborist and will comply with the Land Development Code. A tree removal permit will be required prior to work commencing. In response to the flooding concerns raised at the first commission meeting, staff contacted Florida Department of Transportation, known as FDOT, and FDOT and their contractor Oasis indicated that they received a flood-related complaint in 2023, dispatched a crew to investigate, and found no issues at that time. No additional complaints have been reported since. The applicant is proposing to install 8 canopy trees that include Stefan hollies, crepe myrtles, pink tababuas, live oak, and a foxtail palm. Hedge material will consist of cocoa plums, Green Island ficus, and trinites, as well as annual ground color covers. The perimeter of the site has been landscaped and well maintained for the original site plan development. And staff is also working with the developer to make sure that any dead plants or trees that have died since the fruition of the PUD, code enforcement is going to work with them. The conditions will include the following in the proposed ordinance. Water and sewer will be provided by Martin County. All civil and utility plans must be reviewed and approved by Martin County. All proposed dumpster enclosure must be constructed per the City of Stuart's dumpster enclosure construction details. The applicant must provide from Martin County for the proposed dumpster location within their easement prior to issuing of site permit, which is the infrastructure. And any proposed sanitation receptacles per use unit require more than twice a week pickup. The owner developer will be required to install Vertipacks with 8-yard receptacles. On November 13, 2025, the local planning agency approved the Popeyes major amendment to the commercial plan unit development, which reduced the number of proposed signs from 10 to 6. The local planning agency also recommended that the signage be modified to complement the architectural style of the surrounding shopping plaza and ensure consistency with the overall development. Staff finds that the proposed development is consistent with the city's land development code regulations and the comprehensive plan. Staff supports the alternative sign submittal request as revised in the response to the recommendations of the local planning agency and public input because it's less intensive than the original proposal. However, final approval of the request is subject to the City Commission's approval. There was one more comment that I wanted to address that was brought up during the first reading. We did ask the police department to provide us the crash analysis at the intersection of Windermere and Federal Highway. Last year, in the 2020-25, there was 10 crashes at that location. And this concludes staff presentation. I would like to introduce Mr. Robert Sherman. He is the developer, and I would like him to provide some analysis of how the traffic will flow through the site.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Robert Sherman. I represent 1560 Boone, and it's a pleasure to be back with you again. I'm very blessed that staff and the Commission has taken extra time to make sure that all the items that were addressed at the first meeting have been reviewed and updated as requested. Staff asked me to discuss the transportation and how traffic currently is designed on the site. Just to give a little bit of background, I was the original developer on the parcel when we went ahead and we
We can't hear you, sir.
I'm sorry, is that better?
That's better, thank you.
It's been a long night, I'm sorry. You want me to start over again? Or just up to this point? So, staff asked me to discuss transportation and how cars will work on the site as the entire parcel. As the original developer, I was the one that worked with Racetrack to get the southern access point when LA Fitness was there. So as the site currently works today, there are 3 points of ingress and egress on the entire parcel, in the entire PUD. There is an ingress and egress off of Windermere, which feeds the entire shopping center. And as you would enter that traffic point, you would make a right-hand turn to come down towards the west at the front of the Popeyes location, and then go around and into the drive-through. As the drive-through goes heading back to the east, you would drive through the circular drive-through, which is double and loaded. You would then come back once again to the west side and have 3 options. Option 1, as you head directly to the south, there is a exit only leaving the corner parcel that has the medical center and the Popeyes to get to US 1, or they could go back out to the Windermere location and go back to the traffic light. And thirdly, for those traffic that wants to head south, they'll be able to drive through the parking lot and leave right through the raceway and go back that direction to then come back north on US on the main highway. Do you need a larger map to see that, or do you understand it?
Please continue, sir.
So we've worked very hard with staff. We worked very hard to meet all the conditions that were requested at the original commission meeting. And we're very excited, hopefully, to get this approved. The plans and specifications are waiting at the city to be reviewed. And we're excited to hopefully break ground on this in the next few months and be able to open this up now in the beginning of the year. If anybody has any questions, I think there was a question that staff brought up about time of operations, so I wanted to discuss that if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
So staff brought up that the current application was for a 12 midnight closing. Oliver, the owner of the lease for Popeyes, couldn't be here today, but Jody and I did text him. I showed Jody the text. He's definitely willing to reduce that hour of opening, and well, actually the hour of closing. He was hoping to be consistent with the other fast food restaurants that are in the area. I believe that Chipotle's 11 o'clock, there's some at 10 o'clock. So if we could try to get it within that range, 10:30, 11, I think that would work to be consistent with everything else within the city of Stuart. And he's willing to accept that.
Do the commissioners have any questions for staff or the applicant?
Well, it was the time. It was my understanding, oh, sorry.
Midnight.
Commissioner Giovi?
Yes. The time, open till. It was my understanding that 10 o'clock was pretty much the average in the area for fast food, and even regular restaurants usually close at 9. So having an entity open so late just didn't seem consistent with the area.
And he agreed. That's why if we can get like 10:30, it would be perfect. Their corporate guidelines says that's really what the minimum would be. And if he would really request if we could meet that, that would be greatly helpful under his lease and obligations. I told him 11 would be kind of late. 10, he says, obviously there are others that are open to 11 and some at 10. So that's really what his wish would be. If that could be met, that would be greatly appreciated.
Any other questions for the staff or the applicant from the commission? Commissioner Clark?
Well, just to bring up I don't have that lady's note, and I've looked at it. Well, I have 3. I'll go with the one first that I discussed with staff about the front entrance and the crossover after vehicles have stacked and gone to the window. There's a 2-line stacking, and maybe staff can discuss it a little bit and how, whether or not that would be beneficial to this business. And then when you're crossing the front of the building to go out, I guess more to the east, I forgot what that road is. Is it Wright Boulevard or something? When you're going out there, you're crossing through the front entrance and through people who may be walking from the parking lot into the front entrance. And I guess that's probably normal.
Windermere Drive?
Yeah,
Like the
right
residential
here.
neighborhood?
Yes, Jody, I'm looking at the staff report, page 5 of 12. That particular diagram.
Would you mind pulling it up when you get a minute, please?
Yeah, see, this is it.
That's their
This is-
site plan.
Yeah. So that's where they would go out.
Well, they have 3 means of egress.
Yeah, 3. You're talking about just this one.
Yeah, just where they have to cross through. They come around the window, and then right through here, there's people coming from this parking lot here right in, I guess it's the front of the building, because this one I can't see.
Are you talking about the building, sorry, the building to the south, which is the medical building, or the buildings behind it, which is a separate commercial property?
Oh, your building, 2112? What's that 2112, Jody? The restaurant.
That is the proposed restaurant location.
Yeah, that's the restaurant
Okay,
location.
can you talk about that?
She's looking at the staff report on
Yes.
page 5.
It's the same
Yeah, I
diagram,
have
but
it
we
in
have
front
up
of me,
right now.
Mayor. Can you
It's
tell
on
me?
the board.
Yes. So are you referring to in the front where the 2 handicap spaces are being proposed? Where they
Right.
can, where pedestrians will be crossing over, where traffic will be flowing either to the north or south? Is that what you're referring to?
ma'am.
Okay.
So one of the things that we did was one of the original staff comments that was addressed. They wanted to make sure that we had clear path to be able to see, and we removed parking from that area to make it a safer area for pedestrians to cross. There's actually a crosswalk there, a safety crosswalk that will be installed at the entranceway of the driveways coming in. So it was addressed at the original staff meetings and then LPA. So we, I believe, addressed that to be safe zoned. There were cars, there was other things there, and it's all been removed. Now it's just to be landscaping and bicycles, I believe.
You're talking about like a safety pedestrian for incoming and outgoing traffic in the drive-through, correct?
Also for pedestrians to cross the crosswalk to get to the southern building.
I see that hash mark there.
Yeah, you're talking about right here.
Well, between the 2 handicap spaces, the gray area where they come out, and if they're taking a wheelchair into the front door, there's traffic coming right along there.
That's a 25-foot, access road. Most of these are much smaller. But this has all been designed by ADA, signed off by ADA, and all of the city consultants that it complies with. So it might not be a great representation on this type of plan, but I can
It
assure
works.
you that ADA and all staff has done a very thorough job with all the consultants to confirm all of these items.
Okay, then my next question, Mr. Mayor, may I ask him another question? Okay, so I think Ms. Joby talked about the hours of operation, and we probably need to either stop it at 10 or 11, something less than midnight.
Agreed.
And then the other, yeah, we have the traffic issue, the 2-drive issue, then we have, I guess they were just concerned that maybe there could be, it's with any business at all, young people hanging out in the parking lot and making noises for people in Windermere and so on, but it is a business like any other business, and that's what happens when you have a fast food place at night. People are gonna go there.
It is quite lit. There's a lot of extra street lighting that's been put in that the decibel ratings are much higher than our standard and customary because of safety.
Okay, and then my question is, and this might just be the ordinary course of business for Popeyes, but I know that they have the 2 monuments sign, but then they also have like other signs on the building. There's one on the top, the Love That Chicken, there's a Popeyes name, Louisiana Kitchen, and then there's round signs on the side of the building. It's a lot of signs.
So Commissioner, if you would, if you remember, and you probably don't because this has been going on a long time, the original submittal had probably, I don't want to say twice as many signs as it originally did, and Popeyes and staff dropped it to only 5. So what is considered to be originally aggressive with lots of signs, they have drastically reduced it to only 5 signs now.
Okay.
And the monument sign has been removed completely,
Okay,
as requested by staff. And
So-
the applicant knows, our tenant knows that if he wants that monument sign to go back in, he has to go back to the POA, back everywhere to get it approved, and he knows about it, he's accepted it, and he's really excited to get in here.
So that monument sign example from Port St. Lucie is not there anymore?
The one fronting outside of the property on the POA has been removed.
Okay.
Do any of the other commissioners have questions for the staff or the applicant?
Oh, okay. Yes, I have.
Commissioner Giobbi.
Okay. It's a two-lane drive-through, I understand?
Double stacked is what
Double
it's actually called, yes. I
Um,
didn't mean to correct you, I just wanted to give you the proper
Right,
terminology.
okay, double-stacked
Yeah.
drive-through lanes.
It's in the back. That's where the double stacking
Okay.
is.
But when they come out, will they be, it looks like they'll be entering on, well, out of two of those exits onto the main road, US 1.
No, ma'am. No, this property is set back off of and within the boundaries of the parcel owned by 1560 Boone, which is shown on a few different plans. If you see the blue area, and then you can see where Federal Highway is. So there is nothing entering or leaving directly. It has to go first into a parking area, which is for safety and protection. It's behind the buffer of the beautiful landscaping that has been developed over the past 10, 15 years, so you don't even see it technically. And then there are, as we discussed earlier, 3 ways for the vehicular traffic. So the way it works is one car drives in, just like McDonald's, and it stacks in the back, and the second car drives in, and it stacks on the other driveway. One car will then come around and pick up the food in only one lane. So the only double stacking that you see is in the eastern rear section of the parcel. There's only one lane coming out and one lane going in. The rest is to be able to get more orders in the back that then one car comes by, picks it up, and leaves. Another car. So there's never 2 cars side by side unless they use the bypass lane and they don't want to order anything. So there's a bypass lane separate and apart that you can leave.
Any of the other board members have questions for staff or the applicant? I had a question.
Sure.
During first reading, did you address all the neighbors' concerns? I remember
we did.
There was some conversation, and some of it might have been legal and
Right.
the cleanup of the property and the maintenance of the property.
Yeah, so most of those comments we've addressed, as Jody just addressed also. The POA, the Property Owner Association, owns everything outside of the parcel. We've committed to work with them, even if we have to go spend money, if they don't, to make sure at opening that the entire Windermere is going to be completely re-landscaped, even at our nickel, because the concern, I was the original developer. So when it all got turned over, that's when all the problems took place, for whatever reason. But we've committed to fulfill every obligation, even if the POA doesn't, to make sure.
Has the POA fulfilled it yet?
I really don't know, sir. I can't tell you that because I'm not part of the POA. So I would lie to you to tell you that, yes, they have or yes, they have not. But I know Code's working with us, and they wanted to get through the hearing, so we don't have any code violations to prevent the hearing, and then we committed to work with staff and Code on making sure if there's any landscape issues, and we can put it in development order, that we will comply with it.
Jody, do you know if they were addressed then from first reading?
Mayor Reed, yes, we did pull the original set of plans, did an overlay. We weren't with Mr. Sherman when we did that, but we have identified the areas that need to be re-landscaped. We'll be working with Mr. Sherman. All that will have to be addressed prior to any CO that's being issued to the property, so we don't fall into any type of landscape issues that were originally promised. Being that this is the last parcel of this PUD, this will complete this plan development. Unfortunately, he will be the one that will have to bring the site into compliance. And we'll also
And we're
be working
agreeing
with
to
the-
do that at our cost and expense.
And we're also working with the POA as well, so to try to keep the long-term maintenance, so we don't have any code issues. But we didn't want to issue a code violation because that would prevent any type of requirements for him to have a development order today. you can put it in as a condition that he will be making sure that landscapes along Windermere, that it is brought to code from the original approval.
And we agree with you to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but just to quickly sum it up, it's not been addressed yet, but it will be addressed before a CO is issued.
That is correct, and you can
Perfect.
certainly make that condition as well.
Okay. Do other commissioners have any questions for staff or the applicant? Does the petitioner wish to offer any additional information before concluding its presentation?
No, I think we've worked very closely together with everybody, and by making this commitment to make sure that the landscaping is fully in compliance and putting it into the order, we're very happy to do that.
Does the board want to discuss the hours before we move forward? I know we've heard 10 and 11.
I think 10:30 would be probably the happy medium and meets the compliance with Popeye's franchise agreement, if that can be done. It's a big change for them. Obviously, nighttime for these people is important, but as I do understand, this town probably is not going to need 12 o'clock, and 10:30 would be phenomenal, and is in compliance if you could request that and assist.
That
Mayor Reed, if-
element should best be addressed in the motion, not at this time.
Okay.
Well, I thought we'd have to discuss if we're all in agreement for a
Well,
time.
after a motion is made, including that, then you have discussion.
Okay.
Lee, can we hear from you? What direction is better?
Well, I think you need to get a motion and then have more further discussion. I think we need to close the evidence unless the applicant has any more
I'm fine.
presentation.
So we're good from the applicant?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
The presentation of evidence has ended and the hearing is closed. Does any member of the public wish to make a comment? Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per the city code.
I have no public comment, Mayor.
Let's see, it says, "The party shall be provided with equal time to present the board with closing remarks." And this is regarding new evidence or testimony, correctly?
Yeah, so the evidentiary has been closed, so if the applicant wants to make any closing remarks, now's the time. It usually happens after public comment so that they can readdress anything that was raised, but there wasn't any, so I would move on and let's request a motion.
All right, so we're looking for a motion, direction in the form of a motion from the board.
I'll make a motion to move forward ordinance 2546, 2025, an ordinance of the City of Commission, City of Stuart, Florida, approving a major amendment to Phase 3B of Windermere Point Commercial Planned Unit Development.
And were you addressing the time in your motion?
It was my impression that we would be discussing that
Okay.
once the motion is made. We'd be discussing how
it-
we all agree on a time.
It's true, then you can discuss it.
All right. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll make a second on the motion,
All right, so we have a-
anticipating an amendment.
So we have a motion for ordinance number 2546, 2025 from Commissioner Giobi and seconded by Commissioner Rich. Now, is there public comment on this
No.
motion, Lee? No, public comment's done when
I have no
quasi-judicial,
public
correct?
comment
Okay.
turned in.
Clarified the motion, we can deliberate the motion and discuss it. If any other board members want to talk about any stipulations regarding the motion, Commissioner Rich, your light's on.
Well, it looks like the process works here. I'm glad to see that no one from Windermere felt the need to show up and express their concerns, because apparently staff and the applicant have met with them and dealt with that, so good for both parties there. I'm very happy to hear that they're willing to limit their closing time till 10:30, and then I would ask that the maker of the motion accept an amendment to our motion to indicate that the operating hours would conclude at 10:30 p.m. I guess, is it 7 days a week? Is Popeyes open 7 days a week? I don't know, whatever.
We didn't discuss time.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Sorry.
See, even Mary Lou doesn't understand. I thought before making the motion motion, we were going to discuss time, since no one really knows what everybody else.
Well, that's what we're doing now. Commissioner
Okay.
Rich mentioned it.
Okay.
If any other board members want to discuss the motion
Okay.
or the times or amending it, now's the chance.
I personally would like to see 10 o'clock. It does border on a community and private homes, or townhouses or whatever they are, so 10 o'clock seems reasonable. So I just think it's whatever the other commissioners.
You'd have to amend your motion. But I don't believe we can have comment from the applicant at this point, correctly?
Well, the evidentiary has closed. Obviously, you had a question if it's open 7 days a week. I mean, it'd be up to the board if you,
It's not essential.
right. I don't think that's, so. I think what's essential is when it is open, when it
He
closes.
doesn't know.
I'm not the operator, so I can't give you the
Doesn't
actual
matter.
information. I'm just being honest with
Doesn't
you.
matter.
But I want to point out that there were two issues that you need to address as conditions. One was the timing, which he's indicating his client has a franchise agreement requires that they stay open until 10:30, so that might create a problem by being earlier than that. Number two, I haven't heard you guys address in the motion yet, is the landscaping, which would not be covered by the Property Owners Association. If you recall, in the prior hearing, the applicant was indicating that they don't have control over the Property Owners Association. They've been dropping the ball, apparently. They're willing to cover the landscaping, but we need to address it in a conditional, it's got to be a condition placed in it. It's not in the draft ordinance as it is. You got to add that in a motion. So as far as supplementing the landscape that's missing along Windermere. So I just wanted to point out that when you're talking about amending the motion, there were two
There are
issues
two
that I
things.
recalled.
Okay. I can't find out their time. Okay. Did any of the other commissioners have a discussion about time?
I wouldn't be opposed to 10, 10:30. To me, it's,
Right.
This
And
agreement
we
says
can't
10:30, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's what the client, the Popeye franchisee says his franchise agreement outlines
He
as
has a
the
franchise agreement that says
earliest
10:30.
closing date is 10:30.
I wouldn't be opposed to
No,
that.
okay, so if all commissioners are in agreement, I'd like to make a motion with an amendment to ordinance 2546, 2025, first stating that the hours of operation would end at 10:30 PM, and also that landscaping at Windermere would be covered at the cost of the developer, or Popeyes. I wasn't sure who was covering the cost of the landscaping.
You can just refer to it as the applicant.
The applicant.
May I speak on that for a second?
not allowed to, I don't believe.
I don't think we can.
We're in the middle of a motion.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, you're negotiating terms, so I mean, if you can ask him a question, it's just,
Right. Well, I was just really going on what he had said previously,
what I
which was
would-
that at his cost, he
Well,
would do.
I said I will make sure that it will be taken
Right.
care of as my obligation. The POA's costs will be there. If we have to advance those dollars because they don't, we will take care of it.
Okay.
And I'm going to offset against my POA costs. So it could be worded that it would be my suggestion, the applicant's responsibility to make sure that the landscaping is in compliance with the code prior to opening. We will fulfill that obligation. Whatever it's going to take would be the best for us.
Okay.
That
So-
clarifies it for you, right, Commissioner Giovi?
Yes, I'm just
Okay.
thinking of the wording here, so.
Yep.
maybe that the landscaping would be brought up to code before a certificate of occupancy is
Correct.
issued by the
From
city.
the applicant.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so ordinance 254625, ordinance of the City Commission of City of Stuart, Florida, approving a major amendment to Phase 3B of the Windermere Point Commercially Planned Unit Development, including a close time of 10:30 PM, and including that landscaping would be brought up to code prior to CO. Can I have a second?
I will second that.
So we have a motion for ordinance 2546, 2025 from Commissioner Giobi with the stipulations that they close at 10:30 PM and that they bring up their land development and landscaping up to code for the City of Stuart Land Development Code before they're issued a certificate of occupancy, and seconded by Commissioner Rich. All right. Mary, roll call.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Rich?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
No.
Mayor Reed?
No. Motion fails with Commissioner Clark and Mayor Reed dissenting.
You can entertain another motion, or it can be moved on to the next agenda item.
Or we can table it for a fifth person?
We can do,
I'm
so the,
just-
hang on one sec. So the board can make another motion. You can make a motion to table it to a date certain, when there is a fifth board member here, or,
Is there conversation on the motions, or no?
there's no conversations after the motions.
Otherwise, they'll come back and start all over again. So,
I would suggest that we move it forward to a date certain when we have a full Board of Commissioners.
You can make a motion for that.
That would
That is the motion,
be-
yeah, that is the motion I'm making. To move ordinance 2546, 2025.
Wow.
For the approval of major amendment to Phase 3B of the Windermere Point Commercial Plan Unit Development to a date forward, a certain date forward when we have a full commission.
That would be August 24th.
Yes. Do we need to be specific in the date?
I would just say a motion to continue the second reading until August 24th.
Okay. Okay, make a motion for ordinance 2546, 2025 to, now I've forgotten what you said.
The second reading to be
To move-
continued,
Yeah, second reading,
to be continued
be continued,
until August 24th,
August 24th. Thank you.
2026.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to move ordinance 2546, 2025 to second reading on August 24th, 2026 by Commissioner Giobi and seconded by Commissioner Rich. Mary, roll call?
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Rich?
Does he have to ask for public comment on this additional motion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a motion, so you
Okay.
this is a new motion, so let's do public comment on that if there is any. Sure.
Okay.
All right, is there any public comment on this motion? Seeing none, Mary, roll call? Yes, yeah.
Sure.
Can the applicant
Public
speak?
comment.
Public comment?
You could do public comment.
So after 2.5 years of waiting for this, I'm trying to understand where or why or what you felt was not unacceptable to have this passed. We've done every single thing possible for 2.5 years to wait for this. We are now going to lose the tenant. It is done. Our lease is finished. There's $50,000 in fines, and I'm just trying to grasp, after every single thing that we've done, what we did wrong. What was it that anybody would want different than what staff has approved, 7 consultants, and I am completely devastated. I canceled my trip to Italy to come to this meeting tonight at a severe cost and challenge, and Jody knows it. And I'm just trying to find out of the kindness of your heart, what the 2 people that chose not to vote would want, so we can assist you in meeting your requests. We've done everything. We heard that there's no one in the audience. 2.5 years to make sure everybody was fine, so everything would move forward. And I'm trying to understand what we did wrong. Can anybody share that? Or is it not allowed? Or do we have to do privates? Or do we have to do something else? Can anybody share any light on it? Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Are there any other public comments, Mary?
No further public comment.
call, Mary?
Mayor Reed,
Yes?
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Giobe,
Yes.
Commissioner Rich.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to ordinance second reading regarding backyard chickens in certain residential zoning districts. Lee, if you could read it?
Ordinance number 2552-2026, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, amending the city's Land Development Code, Chapter 2, Zoning Districts, Uses Allowed, Density, Intensity, Section 2.06.00, Supplemental Use Standards to add a new section 2.06.24, Backyard Chickens in certain residential zoning districts, and to amend the city's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Animals, Article 1 in general, Section 8.2, livestock prohibited in the Stewart's Code of Ordinances by removing certain provisions related to allow backyard chickens in certain residential zoning districts, providing for the repeal of prior ordinances and resolutions, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes. And I just want to point out that this is the second reading, and you are, unlike what I said at the last reading of the ordinance, where you put on your quasi-judicial hats, here you're legislative. So we don't have to go through the quasi-judicial proceeding.
Any comments from board members regarding this agenda item?
Any
Can we have the
comment?
staff
Any-
presentation first?
Well,
I-
okay,
Are we gonna
sorry,
have a
staff.
presentation?
I do have a presentation.
Okay, sorry, Jody.
That's okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Again, my name is Jody Kugler with the Development Department. I am presenting item number 6, which is backyard chickens in certain residential zoning districts. On February 2023, 2026, the City Commission directed staff to prepare the necessary ordinance to allow backyard chickens within certain residential districts. The City Commission recognizes a growing trend towards sustainable living practices, including the desire to incorporate fresher, locally sourced products in daily diets. Additionally, there is an increasing interest in providing residents with opportunities to engage in a small-scale backyard food production. Allowing a limited number of chickens on residential properties supports these objectives by enabling property owners to produce eggs for personal consumption. The proposed amendment would permit the keeping of up to 4 chickens as an accessory use on occupied, detached, single-family, and duplex properties within the R1A, R1, R2, urban neighborhood, and single-family detached zoning districts within the East Stewart neighborhood. This would be the subject to the terms and conditions outlined in the attached draft ordinance. The intent of the ordinance is to establish and implement a permanent backyard chicken keeping program allowing residents on developed and occupied detached structures and approvals and subject to terms outlined in this ordinance. These are the locations that you identified as your R1, R1A, R2, urban neighborhood, and single family within the East Stewart. We did tally up some of the parcels in the different districts that would be subject to allow backyard chickens. And you can see in R1, there's 1,126 parcels that would qualify if the ordinance was passed. In R1A, there's 541 parcels. In R2, there's 299. In your urban neighborhood, there's 82. And your single-family district in East Stewart is 107. And this just kind of breaks down that the R1, this is the locations that you can see in orange. That is the locations of where those parcels are located. Again, in R1A is outlined in yellow. These are the locations shown. In R2 is like a greenish color. This shows the locations. In your urban neighborhood is a tan color. And then your single-family duplex is more like a yellowish color. And then just to show the Stewart Road network, and then duplexes parcels is 270. On May 5th, 2025, the Community Redevelopment Board held a public hearing and recommended approval to the City Commission with the following recommendations. consider a hedge in lieu of a fence, increase the height of the chicken coop to 7 feet, and consider a 5-foot fence in lieu of a 6-foot fence. Again, this item was heard by the local planning agency on May 14, 2026, and they held a public hearing, recommended approval for the city commission with the caveat that the city commission consider any annual fee in lieu of a payment of $65. Additionally, the local planning agency recommended a yearly license renewal fee of $10. At the first reading, the city commission voted 3-1 to approve the first reading and transmit the ordinance for second hearing. During the discussion, the commission requested that staff address the potential impacts of chicken manure runoff from properties adjacent to water bodies within the city of Stuart. Looking at one of the comp plans that were quoted during that hearing was the first part of that section of the policy 5.A2.5. And if you go further, the policy addresses, these are the certain areas that that policy addresses and how it, and it's mainly more so for new houses, stormwater management systems, your flood control structures. However, Chapter 6 does apply to this policy and then also could be applied as far as the manure waste along bodies of waters. Where appropriate, encourage low-impact development practices. So staff did look at some keynotes of what that means. So this was some of the areas that would be able to have low-impact developments. These are some of the things that you could use. 1 through 5, where it talks about different types of how that would be established and be accomplished through the meeting the comprehensive plan. Also, working with your environmental attorney, we did look at additional other languages that were parcels that abutted the same body of water, which is the St. Lucie River, which is one of our main highlights here. St. Lucie County does allow up to 5 chickens on their properties, and they do not allow any type of coops or chickens shall be not permitted on any parcel that is adjacent to the shoreline of the St. Lucie River. And I did change this up a little bit that we could add this language into the ordinance addressing the manure runoff properties adjacent to waters. So the chickens or chicken coops shall not be permitted on any parcel that is adjacent to the shoreline of the St. Lucie River, Poppleton Creek, Fraser Creek, Haney Creek, Kruger Creek, and Willoughby Creek, or any adjacent to any swales or tributaries of each of the named water bodies. This would hopefully address some of the issues that were brought up to staff at the first reading. And this concludes staff's presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Jody, I have a question. Are you able to show us on the zoning map with all the filters on where you'd be able to have them based off how the ordinance is currently written? Like, I know you had slides, I believe, where it showed those specific.
So I don't have an overall map other than just my zoning map, but I did kind of try to break them out. I apologize, I did not have that. But you can see that there is a substantial, I think your R1A is the ones where, I'm sorry, your R1 is going to be your highly more areas that would be, this is where over 1,126 parcels exist today that would qualify for backyard chickens.
So you wouldn't be able to have them in urban center,
You could have it in the urban neighborhood,
but not urban center?
not urban center. Urban center is a mix of commercial properties.
Do any of the commissioners have any comments for staff? Commissioner Clark.
Oh, okay. So I think I have a lot, but I'm just going to start with that last thing that you went on, the mean high water. First of all, the urban neighborhood. And I forgot to check. We had the ground floor farms at the coal lab. When we gave them that lease, did we change the land use and the zoning again, or is it still the same that if anything in the future, you could still go back and do the urban agriculture? there, which is right beside Fraser Creek?
If it's an R1 zoning district, then they could be qualified. I don't have that particular answer.
Okay, so I'm asking if that had ever changed, maybe if Mr. Baggett knows, can check that. If the urban agriculture that we had for ground floor farms on Martin Luther King, which is adjacent to the Fraser Creek, I forgot when we switched over those leases, if we actually changed the use, both the land use and the zoning there. So I
Commissioner
was
Clark.
concerned about that to make sure, if it says, nothing adjacent to Fraser Creek, if that use was still, could still be in effect on that property, and if that property was listed as one of those that you have on the list of places. That's my one question. The other question was with the mean high water, going back to the water bodies, is I'm surprised that our environmental attorney didn't give it what I call a high water level elevation with a distance. So it says it shall not be permitted on any parcel that is adjacent. And I want to know where that adjacent is. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet back from the shoreline. Most people have it. I've looked at a few other communities, and I found one community, I think it was in Orlando, they had it 50 feet from the mean high water elevation of the shoreline. So I'd like to have some kind of a measurement. It says nothing adjacent to the shoreline. I know that we have those other measurements with 10 feet and 5 feet and 15 feet with regard to whether it's corner lot or whether it's from the building or from the next door neighbor. And by the time you make all those measurements, when you have a small lot, 25 feet, 15 feet, it's gonna be like, I don't know where the coop is gonna be, like right outside the back door, because you've gotta come in from the neighbors, and be away from their fences, well, your fence between them. So I think that that's important. So I'd wanna have more,
Commissioner
I'd have
Clark?
more direction on that.
Do you want legal to
Commissioner
address
Clark,
it? I see it.
if I may, Commissioner
yeah.
Clark?
Okay.
So the garden that you're referring to, that's in Martin Luther King, that property is not occupied by any type of structure. So it would not be qualified to have backyard chickens. You have to have, it has to be an occupied structure on the principal building.
Entire COLA property would not allow in the future.
Correct, because there would be no one there to take care of the chickens on a daily basis. It's really supposed to be.
I'm saying the land use that was there, that urban, is that
Yes.
the urban neighborhood
It's
land?
the
Urban
urban-
agriculture.
Yes.
So, but even if that parcel was qualified, you still would not qualify it because it does not have a structure or a primary use.
Okay,
Which
but
means
it's still
it's-
urban neighborhood, but
Yes.
it would have to meet all the requirements,
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
it wouldn't make it. Just like how some homes are not gonna make it because they may not be able to meet the setbacks and so on, if this were to pass.
Right.
Okay.
And to answer your second question about the shoreline, so if you have a property that's adjacent to any shoreline, like your Fraser Creek, and we can add the language basically that's coming from your Chapter 5 Land Development Code, it talks about the shoreline. Really, the intent was if you are adjacent to any type of body of water, which is identified in this code, you would not be allowed to have backyard chickens, because one of the biggest concern was the waste running into the waterway. So if you're along Fraser Creek and you back up right to that Fraser Creek, you would not be entitled to allow to have have backyard chickens.
Okay, so any type of water, whether it's a navigable water or just a small creek or anything, no shoreline if your home has a shore, is
Correct.
adjacent to a
If you're-
shoreline.
right.
Your backyard.
Yes,
is
if your shoreline, if your backyard abuts one of those shorelines, you would not be entitled to having a backyard chicken permit. Or
Swales, tributaries, okay.
Yeah, it's not 25, like the shoreline protection is 25 feet from like the tidal waterway. But if you have a parcel on the tidal waterway, there is no 25, you're not allowed on your parcel.
Right.
It would have to be
It's-
the one next door or, more inland.
or a swale, some, beside, okay.
And I'm looking at the section 2.0608 of urban agriculture in our current code, and I don't see that it, I mean, it's 4 pages, but as I'm sitting here, I'm not seeing that it prohibits this from being close to Fraser Creek, which is where Collab Kitchen is. It
Is
just
it,
don't
are you
address-
saying there's a conflict?
No,
Christians doesn't qualify.
you had asked whether the current urban farms, urban agriculture prohibits, growing crops or having chickens, because in that, we have 30 chickens, whether it applies or there's any prohibition or restriction next to navigable waterways, and I don't see it in the code. It wouldn't be in conflict, because this is in the urban neighborhoods. We're talking about single-family
Right,
in
she had
many
urban-
different zoning districts.
She had urban neighborhood as one of the zoning districts, though, right? Isn't that correct, Jody?
That is what you.
Yeah, urban neighborhood with single families in it.
Right, single families and not adjacent to any type of shoreline. That's identified in this additional language that we could add.
Okay.
Did you have any more questions, Commissioner?
No, I think I'd asked my questions the last time about rodents and other things, so I was just concerned about the setbacks and so on, and then the setback from water.
And I know you mentioned, Jody, you can have them in urban general as long as they're single family,
Just urban neighborhood,
urban neighborhood.
UN.
And urban neighborhood is only residential then?
Yes. So there's your urban neighborhood. These are the parcels, and I can,
Yeah, the way the current proposed ordinance is, it's in all the various zoning districts, but only single-family
right.
and duplex
Not in
dwellings.
urban center though, is it?
No, not urban center, just
So,
urban neighborhood.
Yeah, if there's any of the zoning districts that have single-family, so it applies to, that's why she has, the East Stewart is single-family duplex, R1, R2, R1A.
I'd like to see an urban center for single-family residential houses as well.
Mayor Reed, you can make that amendment if that would be.
I'm mentioning it to the board and stuff as well. I don't think someone should be punished for that.
And also the proposed language that Jody had up there on the slide, that's not currently in the, so,
Yeah, it's not in here.
right, so you would need to address that in your motion.
Right.
And I know
We had
at
to
the
do some
last-
research.
Yeah, at the
Commissioner
last
Reed,
meeting, I
Rich.
mentioned too, about the coop height being 7 foot tall as well.
Yes.
I think 6 foot is too small. So those are two things that I'd like to see as an urban center for single family, and 7 foot tall coops in the form of a motion if someone was gonna make one.
Mayor Rich, are you inclined to also add the additional language that staff is proposing regarding the chicken coops or chickens not permitted in a certain areas, the additional language on the
Yes.
screen?
I think that would address Commissioner Rich's concerns regarding the river.
And I think that would meet the intent of the comprehensive plan.
Correct. I remember at the first reading as well, there was some concerns. I don't know if Ruth wanted to touch bases on it that Commissioner Rich had, or this all meets it based off this additional language. I don't remember the exact question that was had from first reading.
Was
I
it the
don't- I
high
don't-
water elevation?
I don't remember specifically. I just remember.
I don't remember Commissioner Rich's comment, but since I'm up here, I'd like to address setbacks. Because we had originally thought about setbacks after the last commission meeting because of Commissioner Clark's, well-founded comment on that. But when you start thinking about setbacks from mean high water, you think about that from a homeowner's perspective who may live on a creek or the river. So the mean high water 20 years ago is not necessarily the same as it is today. And if you think about a setback from mean high water, and every homeowner that maybe wants a chicken coop has to get a survey, that's kind of impractical. So we thought, we looked at our sister cities and counties and what are they doing? And they just eliminated it from, Indian River Lagoon South water bodies. And so we thought that was probably the right thing to do there. But I'm happy to, if Commissioner Rich, if you happen to recall the issue that you brought
No,
up.
that was, complying with the comprehensive plan and addressing the explicit concerns delineated is dealt with this complete prohibition. I would like, however, to see a survey. I did ask specifically that we be provided with a survey of all water bodies, especially when you're getting to swales and tributaries. So I'm disappointed not to see that.
So Commissioner Rich, your comprehensive plan has a rendering in there already that's already
Does it?
been, yes.
Okay.
Does that conclude your comments, Commissioner Rich?
I was responding to the question from.
Okay. Does that conclude your statement, comments, questions?
No, I just, I'm spending a lot of time speaking to a great many people, and there's a lot of concern. And there's no homeless chickens pleading to be cooped. So I don't understand the rush here. I think we should wait until we have a full body to make the decision. Right now, the opinions provided to me are overwhelmingly in opposition. I'd like to give those in favor an opportunity to indicate their support. So I'd like to make actually a motion to continue to the date in September. I'd like to give the new board a chance to get their feet underneath them, which I believe. So I would like to make a motion, because I don't want to see this go away. If it's defeated, if it fails to pass, then it would be a year before it could be brought back, and I don't want that to occur. But the first meeting in September, September 14th, and that's my motion.
I still had something to say, but he
Well,
made the motion.
There's a second?
No.
We talk it, otherwise no.
Okay. I'll second the motion for discussion.
Okay.
I personally wanted to
Hang on.
see, okay.
Commissioner Clark's light was on first. and then I'll
Okay,
get
so-
to-
Oh, no, since she's second and she wants to say something,
Okay,
let her say what.
Commissioner Giovi? Yep, you're good.
Okay, I wanted to say that, as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see an agreement for the parcels of land that are duplexes. Most of those are probably owned by someone who other than lives there. So I'd like to see an agreement from the owners that they agree, and then, of course, an agreement between the people who basically share, like, a yard, literally, because they're in a duplex. So that's something that I would like to see in there, that's a requirement.
So for clarification, if someone rents in any of the areas, you'd want to see some sort of agreement from the homeowner saying that.
Permission.
The permission, I
Yeah,
guess.
because it's their property, right?
They
But
can-
especially in duplexes, because most likely, at least one or both sides of that duplex are rentals.
So,
One sec, Commissioner Rich. Commissioner Clark, your light was on next?
okay, thanks. So that application, if they were to apply for a permit, if this ever went through, then it would be there that they have a sign off from the
Correct.
the
That-
owner of the property. Okay, so a couple of things, and I don't know, I don't think we've had anybody from IFAS here. I know that we've had some people who are very close with IFAS and probably what they've done if they're currently keeping chickens. But Ms. Kugler, I don't think I saw it anywhere in the proposed ordinance that people would have to like take a training course or something or be certified. I know they would have to pay like a $10 every year, but if they'd followed some IFAS guidelines and took a training course, we go to the training for how to take care of your yard waste and other things. If they offer a lot of things through those programs, if something like that could be looked into for that. And then, everybody talks about transparency here, and we know that there are people who have chickens. And I was wondering, there's a couple of things related to that, if something like this were to ever go through, is that if we know that there are people now, and people probably will come forward tonight and say that they have chickens on their property, and maybe they'll be chastised for it or whatever, but at the same time, maybe we can use this as an opportunity to look and see what is actually happening. People have talked about a trial thing, and that's one thing, and I'm not going to go any further on that. The other issue with regard to trial, or if it ever went through, I know that you provided us with all of the properties and the potential for those properties to qualify, and of course, they have to meet this setbacks and the shoreline and all those other things. However, if we actually said in the city of Stuart that we had X amount, it's almost like a lottery. You had X amount of numbers of people who could have chickens, whether it's 100, 75, whatever it is, and that's it. And so that we know what the potential load of waste or whatever would be if anything like that ever came about. I think that I've seen other communities that have limited the number of households or the number of applications to a certain limit, and that's it. And if we look at the urban community and the amount of waterways that we have, I think that it'd be a good thing to set a limit. I think the environmental attorney had mentioned some type of a trial number, or I don't know if it was a trial period or a trial number, but I think, or a trial group, okay.
There's a trial period, not
Okay.
necessarily a number.
Yeah,
Mr.
but I
Mayor,
think,
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
sorry.
Point of order. There is a motion to continue to a specific date, not to discuss the merits
Okay, well, I was
of
asked.
this. That is not the motion.
Okay.
First of all, you should have asked for public comment on that motion and that second. And then the discussion is confined to that matter. In fact, this irrelevant discussion proves my point. We still have a great deal to talk about with regard to this.
okay.
And there's no hurry.
Okay, I hear that. Thank you.
Guys crack me up. Is there any public comment on this motion?
Yes, I have public comment. Samantha Smith?
Good evening, Commissioners. Nice to see you again. Thank you for having me. Not to go on a weird tangent here, but while I hear, Commissioner Rich, that there is no rush, for me there sort of is. I was involved in a rollover accident on Wednesday on I-95 hydroplaning. I understand that's irrelevant to this ordinance, but I have spent a lot of my time, some of my own money, and a lot of stress, to be quite honest, to be in front of you, to try and address your concerns, to try and get this passed for people that live here and have faith in you to listen to them and to work for them. We have done the work. We've organized. We've been polite. We've asked for permission. All we're asking you is that you try to work with us, that you hear what it is that we're bringing to you and do your jobs. This is not a monumental feat. The recipe exists and it works elsewhere. We're really just asking you to let us into the kitchen to cook. We have faith in you to govern us. We would hope that you have faith in us to govern ourselves at home. If you are unwilling to listen and to try and to trust, then I am unwilling to re-elect you. I understand it's an election year. I do. This is not the hill you want to die on, as somebody who almost died on a hill. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment.
Michelle Ketchum?
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi. I support allowing residents to keep up to 4 backyard hens. First, backyard hens provide families with a reliable source of fresh organic eggs. Homeowners know exactly how their hens are raised, what they're fed, where their food comes from. Fresh eggs from well-cared-for hens can be healthier and more nutritious than eggs that have traveled long distances to grocery stores that are usually over a month old before they even make it to the shelves. Eggs are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, packed with high-quality protein, essential fats, and nearly every vitamin and mineral your body needs. Just one egg delivers a perfect balance of amino acids for muscle repair, choline for brain function, and antioxidants like lutein to protect your eyes from premature aging. Despite outdated fears about cholesterol, research shows that eggs can actually improve heart health and support metabolic function. It's nature's perfect food. Second, hens are surprisingly easy to maintain. 4 hens require relatively little space, produce no roosters or crowing noise, and can be cared for with basic daily feeding, watering, and coop cleaning. Many common household pets require far more time and attention. I would like to see a setback for properties on the water because if properly cared for, there is no issue of runoff. Chickens are also intelligent animals. Research has shown they can recognize and remember over 100 individual faces, distinguish between members of their flock, and learn to recognize their owners and their names. Many backyard hens become quite tame and will come when called. They enjoy treats from their owners and can form strong bonds with the people who care for them. They are engaging pets with unique personalities. Third, chickens contribute to environmental sustainability. They consume kitchen scraps that would otherwise end up in landfills and produce manure that can be composted into nutrient-rich fertilizer for gardens. This reduces waste and supports local food production. Property owners should also have reasonable freedom to use their yards as they see fit, provided they do not create a nuisance for neighbors. Keeping 4 hens is reasonable and productive use of private property. Concerns about predators can be effectively addressed through proper coop construction. Hardware cloth and secure enclosures are widely recognized as effective methods for protecting hens from raccoons, dogs, and other predators. Finally, recent events have shown the importance of food security. During the 2020 lockdowns, grocery store shelves were often empty and egg shortages occurred nationwide. Backyard hens provide families with a small...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments.
Next, I have Amber D'Angelo.
Amber?
I can move on to Bonnie Moser.
That's fine. We'll move on to she's here.
Okay.
Yeah, she just wants to go home. Those kids are getting antsy.
And company?
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Amber D'Angelo from Palm City, actually. Gemma and Peter have done a great job considering it's been 3 hours. So thank you guys for hanging in there.
Good job.
So I'm here because I wanted to just show my support for backyard chickens in Stuart. A few years ago, when I was actually pregnant with Peter, I was leading the charge for chickens in the county, and that just kind of got dismissed by the board. They had it on the agenda, and then we had one commissioner that was really helping it along, and the other 4 just didn't want to help. So my hope is that this is a commission that will work with us, because I think that there's a lot of faith that wants to be had in the government, and it's been a kind of a roller coaster in the county and in the city. And I would say that if you're by chance not for chickens or on the fence about it, right now you have an opportunity to, as we're doing already with Jody, like draft the ordinance to be something that you would be happy with, because this has been almost 10 years of, between Stuart and the county, almost 10 years of people wanting this, and it'll just keep on coming back up. So we should probably draft it right now, especially considering there's plenty of people that have chickens in the county and in the city. I do not. I'm waiting for a big yes, and in hopes to have that. I would say we talked about setbacks. I currently live on the water, but it's a very large property. So if it was something where, I only mention this because whatever you guys come up with, I'm hoping the county will just be like, yeah, us too.
So I would like to see how many feet back. I feel like just saying if you're on the water, it's a no-go is shutting out some people who could keep them responsibly and keep them far back enough from the water. So please continue to have an open heart and mind to the people who have been asking for this for such a long time, and thank you for considering it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonnie Moser.
Welcome, Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Bonnie Moser, 1121 Southeast 10th Street. I'm going to totally blow up my time here, but I just got back from vacation with my family in Scandinavia for a few weeks and was really blown away by how family-friendly the cities were. So I just wanted to mention to you, we've had 2 moms come in here tonight with kids, and maybe when you see that at the beginning of a meeting, you can restructure the agenda so that they don't have to sit in here till 8 p.m. They've done such an awesome job. Before I go into what I've prepared for you, I just want to address a few comments I've heard. In regards to the rush, personally, I've been emailing you guys about this for over 3 years. You have receipts, it's public record. In terms of renters having chickens, I went through that process in the city of Orlando about, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. Renters just had to get a signed agreement from the owner of the property in order to have chickens in their backyard. The city of Orlando and Orange County also already has an IFAS course for chickens. A couple of others do too, so that's ready to go. IFAS shares things statewide, so you can just ask for it and use it here. I'm sure the Extension Office would love to teach those classes. You already know my stance on chickens. I've emailed you guys plenty of times. The whole rest of the town knows my stance on chickens because I've been quoted in the newspaper so many times with the past couple of weeks for my comments during the CRB meeting. You know I have chickens already, and the reason that I told you guys that is because I wanted you to know that there are responsible people in this city who care deeply about this town, but also want to have the opportunity to grow their own food in their homes. And the invitation's open for you to come by and see my coop. I think that you'll find that I'm doing it just right. I was gonna bring my kids tonight and bring some props. I wanted to show you what my eggs look like versus what a grocery store egg looks like and talk to you about the process of how that egg gets in your home. Most of the eggs we eat come from the Midwest. They're grown on factory farms. They're fed factory farm food, and no shade to those farmers. They gotta do what they do to get by. But then they're shipped on refrigerated trucks to get in our grocery stores. And then we're all spending 30 minutes in traffic on US 1 round trip to get to the grocery store to get those eggs. We don't know what they've been fed. We don't know the conditions that they're living in. The chickens in my backyard eat my food scraps. And in the afternoon, my 2-year-old feeds them dried mealworms while we collect their eggs. I know where my food comes from, and I love being able to feed my kids something that is good for them. Running out of time very quickly. I also wanted to talk about chicken manure, which you're obviously concerned about in the wastewater, versus just the standard 10-10-10 NPK fertilizer that people put on their lawns so they look nice and green here. Chicken manure is about 2, 3, 4
Thank
less
you.
times as potent as that. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mike Sawtell.
Welcome, Coach.
Hello, my name is Mike, and my wife and I have been homeowners in the city of Stuart for over 32 years, and we are absolutely in favor of backyard chickens. To follow up what Bonnie said, natural fertilizer. Chickens help improve soil health through their manure, which is rich in nutrients, acts as an excellent organic fertilizer, enhancing soil fertility where you can garden and grow your own fruits and vegetables. The practice of raising backyard chickens contributes to regenerative agriculture, which revitalizes land rather than depleting it. And we can go on and on and on. You talk about rushing, you talk about certain aspects to the agenda, but What we do know through cityhubgo.com is that Tampa Bay already allows up to 10 hens per family. Clearwater allows up to 6. St. Petersburg allows up to 8. St. Augustine up to 12 hens per family. Coral Gables up to 6. Daytona, 6. Miami, 15 chickens per family. All of these cities are allowing this because they know the benefits for the families, for our saving money and stuff like that. Also, in Europe, and this came from the BBC, multiple towns in France and Belgium are giving free chickens to any resident who wants them to lower the landfills and the production of food waste. The problem with landfills is food waste contributes to more methane emissions to the atmosphere than any other source. In the United States, 58% of the methane emissions released into the atmosphere from waste landfills are from food waste. Methane has a global warming impact of 80 times higher than CO2 over a 20-year period. And we can go on and on and on and on and tell you about all the good things about raising your own chickens, the family bonding, neighborhood bonding, everything. The presentation that was brought tonight was amazing. It answered all the questions. So like the other women said, this has been going on for 10 years, since 2017. You've been given this information for 3 years. What's the push? I mean, why we think we're not prepared to make decisions? A comment was made earlier that the system works. If the system works and you have all of these people here in favor, where's the other side? Where's your majority? You have to listen to the people who care enough to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Gwen Hall Brinkley.
Welcome.
Good evening. I didn't come prepared to say anything tonight, but her presentation just struck a couple of things with me. And I just needed clarification. But in listening to some of these people, you said chicken coops in East Stewart. Are you suggesting chicken coops and chickens are in East Stewart only?
No, ma'am. It's in residential R1 zoning districts, R1A, R2, urban neighborhood, and in single-family district in the East Stewart district.
Okay, I wanted to get that clarification because I'm like, we're not the only ones that probably want to have chickens in our yard. And then when I heard all these people, I thought we were being singled out. My other thing is, I'm a rookie gardener, so I would appreciate your chicken manure. Maybe we can trade off some eggs for some black-eyed peas or peppers or something like that. And then the other thing I heard is I heard you say, someone say the urban code, and I went back to our zoning. Because when we were in zoning, and I know this is a different subject, it was said that East Stewart was under urban code. You said, as a commission board, we were not under urban code. So we've been confused about that for a while. Either we are under urban code or we're not under urban code. And one day, I'd like to get an understanding of that. And then the last thing that I was listening to is the creeks. And every creek that you mentioned is in a predominantly white neighborhood. So it had me wondering, and I have to be honest, if those neighborhoods were not going to be able to house chickens, those families, because they're in those creek areas. So those was my things, and I just wanted answers to them tonight. I didn't want to leave here. They say the only question that you don't get a dumb question is a question that's not asked. So if my questions sound dumb to you, to me they make sense because I'll leave here with an understanding.
Thank
And
you.
that's why come I stood up here tonight.
Thank you.
Next, I have Will Laughlin.
Welcome.
Hey, Will.
For the record, Will Laughlin, 950 South Kenner. I hate to do it because I was here early this morning, so I know the staff's been tremendous. It's been a very long day for staff. But nevertheless, here he goes. Chickens. Chickens were one time very common across America. So what happened? I'm not going to go into details as to what happened with that. But what's I've not heard, but what I did see, a couple of representatives here, is the benefit that chickens have and animals have for children. A lot of times, public funding, there's a lot of public funding that goes toward helping schools and helping children's programs, Children's Services Council. I know we had a commissioner recently meet with the president of the or CEO of the Children's Services Council. Here you have an opportunity where the public's actually paying you to help their kids, okay? Children benefit, and any teacher will tell you, or anybody that's ever been in a classroom or anywhere in general, that there's a great difference, and you can see it. It's observable. It's also quantifiable, the difference between a person that grew up around animals and a person who did not. So this is often maybe overlooked in this particular conversation. As far as the risk, I think it's been mitigated with the parcels issues. The staff did a great job of identifying there's roughly 2,100 units that are potentially able to get chickens. Of that, maybe a quarter of them at half. Let's say there's 500 units that want chickens. That's up to 2,000 chickens. Now, pelican guano is 10 times as potent as chicken manure. So if you want some good fertilizer, hang around the pelicans. So if you had 2,000 chickens, that's about 200 pelicans that fly around. I don't think we're going to go lopping the heads off pelicans because we're worried about the waterways. So I think that concern's been mitigated. Now, I would say there is one concern, the $10 renewal fee. You can have these chickens monitored on almost, a quarterly basis. You can have somebody, either an independent contractor or city staff, paid at about $18 an hour. That's about $30 per household, 4 times a year. And they can go around and inspect it. This is where your $10 renewal fee might be a problem. Now, people love rewards. So if you were to throw out, let's say, a $65 fee and a renewal fee of $65, but if you came back with a clean scorecard from this inspector, your renewal fee is $10 or $30 just to cover the cost. Those are all some thoughts. Thanks for your time. Chickens.
Thank you, Will.
I have no further public comment.
So I've been keeping notes. I wanted to address some of them. First, I want to apologize to my constituents that took time out of their evening to come here and sit for some of them 4 hours, 5 hours. That's a long day. I've heard some of the discussion saying that we're rushing things. I don't think this city commission, prior to me getting here, thought about that when they pushed 3,000 multifamily units through this city of Stuart in 4 years. This ordinance, by the way, was approved back in 2017 under ordinance number 2347, 2017, with less restrictions than what we're currently discussing this evening. And that passed, by the way, and it was ultimately rescinded. And I wasn't there for that. As far as training, I don't think we should be punishing law-abiding citizens. I can speak on behalf of being an elected official. Some of us may or may not have even taken the training classes on Institute for Elected Municipal Officers. I can attest that I know personally I took it, but I'm not here to, like I said, punish law-abiding citizens. I've heard something about a pilot program being discussed for potentialness. We as a board, we set policy, and I don't think that's going to be done here tonight with how the board is made up. It's just a shame, but that's all I have to say. Any other board members want to comment on this motion? Commissioner Rich.
Yeah, but just, paddle to the switches. And we're required to provide an estimate of the city's regulatory costs, including estimated revenues from any new charges. If we have 500 chickens that have to be inspected, there's a cost there. The city has not estimated that. We're just not ready. It's just not ready, and there's nothing wrong with being patient.
Any other board member comments?
No, what is the motion before us now?
So the motion
postpone
that's
to
being discussed is to table it to a date certain. I don't remember the exact,
September 14th,
Not table, postpone.
continue to a date certain.
September what?
September 14th?
September 14th. And this is, I'm assuming currently to us being down one board member, and this board doesn't want to take a stance on an agenda item, but Commissioner Giobi.
Right, and that's what I was about to say. I don't want to see this die on the dais because we cannot come to an agreement of a majority. So I would like to be able to move it for a date certain going forward to, that's September 14th, you said, September 14th. And just between that time and now, we have some issues that maybe can be addressed. It's, you know, looking at the urban center, single homes in an urban center, 7-foot coops, agreements with duplexes or homes that are rented with the landlord, who would have to have an agreement on file that they allow chickens in a rented home. So I'd like to see all of those things when we do come back as a full board to address this issue and vote on it finally, and have it pass. So that's my positive for the night.
Seeing no further discussion, Mary, can you roll call?
Commissioner Clark?
Yes, for the date certain?
Yep. that's the
Commissioner
one.
Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Rich?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Before I close out tonight, like I said, I'll apologize again. I'm sorry to my constituents. I know where I stand on this. And hopefully the public sees where people support them and where they don't support them. I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 9:05 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.